Jay Crawford, Adam the Bull, Garrett Bush, and so many big names, it would take me hours to say all of their names. The ultimate Cleveland sports show. Booyah!
Level 2. What's up? It's Friday!
Yeah.
Where's Brad?
I think
He's here. He's in the building.
You know that little arm in Cedar Point? He hit the arm.
He's too tall.
He's too tall, so he couldn't. He had to go back.
He's
that.
knocking a couple inches off his height right now.
Yeah, definitely.
Happy Friday, everybody. We made it to the end of another week. This is a big week because obviously the Cleveland Cavaliers opened their first playoff series. Has it been 5 years?
Yeah, it's been 5 years.
So hard for me to get my mind around because it was like an every year thing there when LeBron was here.
Yeah.
And to think that it's been 5 years, but
2018.
Whew. So we're going to dig into that. We're going to talk about not just the Cavs-Knicks series, which I'm nervous about. I don't know where you are.
I'm super.
Man.
I'm super nervous. I got it going 7.
I do too. And I went back and forth on whether it was going to be the Cavs or the Knicks.
Guys, come on.
I'm not giving anything away.
Hey,
all I said is it's going 7. And I'm very nervous about it.
It's 2 old buddies. We ain't got to talk to him in a minute, so we just hit the ground running. Catching up, right?
We're going to pick all 8 series, which I'm glad we're going to do. Now, obviously, the 8s in both conferences will be decided tonight. They've got the final play-in game of the NBA 2022-2023 season. Those will determine the 8s. I'm not picking an 8 over a 1, so it doesn't matter who wins. Miami, Chicago, whomever.
Yeah,
I don't care. We're going to pick all 8 series. I'm curious to see what Brad thinks about those. I do have, I think, 2 upsets. I hate I hate to pick chalk all the way through, so we'll talk about those. Also, man, these NFL franchises, bro, they just keep going for more and more money every time. Where's the ceiling?
I don't think it's a ceiling. I've never seen any asset or business appreciate exponentially. I've never seen
I haven't either. It is the business to be. Now, mind you, we've been in a pretty deep, if not recession, economic slowdown since COVID.
Yes.
The 2 franchises that have sold in the NFL since COVID not only both set records, but the number, what's up, Brad? Come on in, brother. The number that the Commanders got for their franchise was 50% higher than the Broncos that just sold within a year.
For like $6 billion is, I'm trying to figure out, first of all, who has $6 billion? Second of all,
not many.
When they give you that $6 billion, the fact that they could give that to you and they're guaranteeing you a return, it's crazy.
It is crazy. Now, at some point, it's my opinion that the bubble has to pop. At some point. At what point that is, I don't know. But we haven't seen it yet. No. Nobody has sold for anything but a huge profit.
Yes.
There were franchises that were purchased in the hundreds of millions within a decade ago that are now selling in the billions.
It's so ridiculous to me. I just, and when you look at it, we talked about ownership, and the good part about this is we'll get to examine minority ownership. We'll get to figure out Magic Johnson is involved in it. We don't know how much of a stake he put up or what his controlling interest is, but we'll get an opportunity to talk about that. And by the way, are you guys a little stunned that he went out that quietly? Snyder went out.
Oh, no.
I don't think he had much of a choice.
It was like, they must have had the old mafia. I can imagine them at the table and Jerry Jones.
Sure, this is the way it's going to go down.
He was like,
Daniel,
we want this thing under the radar.
Now, you say go out quietly. When you're receiving a check for $6 billion on a purchase that you spent, was it $1 billion when he bought the Redskins? Less than $1 billion.
$800 million. He made $5.2 billion.
Twist my arm and give me $5.2 billion on my investment.
So here's the story. So you say that not many people have money. Plenty of people have money, right? You just don't know about it. Let me just say.
Well, what's the number? There's a discernible number of billionaires, of people that have that $6 billion in wealth.
The problem is the people that got the money writing the rules.
They do make the rules.
They're making the rules.
You're right.
And if they're not making the rules, their friends making the rules.
You're absolutely right.
And so they're going to always stay winning, right? So this is the deal here. I looked at Jimmy Haslam's numbers. Jimmy Haslam brought the team for about $900 million, right? Forbes has it valued at $4 billion for the Cleveland Browns. Now, when you go to a place like Washington, you're not even taking into account the media market he's in, the merchandise he's selling, all this DC thing he's getting.
It's a cornerstone franchise.
Oh, there's no question.
The Commanders.
I'm sure he didn't give it up willingly.
Now, I'm sure he didn't. We're going to talk much more about that. I wanted to tease things that are coming up later in the show.
But do we know? Real quick.
It's not that big a number.
No, it's significantly bigger than I thought.
724, right?
According to Forbes, 2023 billionaire count, there's 2,640 billionaires in the world, down about 300 people from last year.
So more than half of those aren't even remotely interested in an NFL franchise.
So no. You have to have a love of some sports.
Ego.
And that too, right? Because
that's a big check.
Yeah, no question.
That's a big check.
But you're a shareholder. You're talking Magic Johnson. You're a shareholder here. Mm-hmm. Even your little piece, if you stay trending as it's trending, he's gonna make a significant sum of money.
Sure, he will.
Yes, he will.
If his outlay is $100 million.
Yeah.
And it sells. I mean, these things have been doubling.
Yes.
In this case, it's gone up over 600% in a matter of 25 years.
You think the Commanders are ever going to lose favor in the Baltimore, Maryland, D.C. market, Virginia market?
There, but
Never.
they better turn their product around.
Oh, they don't really
care.
And
I think they will
they
now
like
that
the
Snyder's
Browns.
out. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the Guardians now, speaking of D.C., are in our nation's capital. They're going to play a weekend series with the Nationals. This on the schedule, this is a trip to the doctor. What does that mean? It's time to get healthy. You get healthy against bad teams. They should beat the Nationals 2 out of 3, I would hope. But we've got a lot to talk about with this club because there's a lot wrong with this club. And we're also going to touch on pitching. Is the new pitch clock perhaps leading to this rise in pitchers' injuries that we have seen? You're going to say yes. I'm going to say yes. We're going to talk a little bit about that and get into maybe some of the neuroscience into that because it's a real thing. And people might roll their eyes at it and say that's nonsense. It's not. It is a real, provable thing.
Oh, it's very real.
Yeah, it is real. Okay, McNuggets, what do you got?
Before we get into it, it is time for Bull's Bet of the Day. He gave us 2 yesterday, and he swept, went 2-0. He is now 22-20 on the season, 8-4 in his baseball bets, and he's dipping back into the baseball pool today with his Bet Rivers Bet of the Day. Hey, Ohio, Bet Rivers Online Sportsbook is the place to be for every single game. Right now is the perfect time to join Bet Rivers Sportsbook because if you use deposit code SPORTS, you receive a second chance bet up to $500. Get in on all the action with weekly specials on your favorite sports like basketball, hockey, and baseball. To help you win big, check them out at BetRivers.com or download the BetRivers app today for the latest lines, odds, and boosts. And Bull's Bet of the Day, he's rocking with the Angels straight up on the money line, slight favorites on the road at the Red Sox. Bull is rocking with the Angels, looking to go 3-0. Over the last 2 days, hot streak heading into the weekend.
Nice. He said he's going to get over 500 with his baseball picks.
He's 8-4 in baseball picks so far. So.
He knows baseball. I mean, that's his game. That's his game for sure. So maybe we're onto something. Maybe we're all going to ride the Bull gravy train to riches and just start betting his bets. I've been gone for over a week. What is your record now on A's bets?
Yeah, I forgot
You're betting
about
the A's to lose every game.
I have. They've lost 2 in a or the A's have covered 1.5 runs 2 games in a row, but overall I'm still up $27. And so far in the season, if I count the record, I'm 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9-4 on the year.
Wow, to bet the A's to lose. So if you missed it, McNuggets is going to make a run at the A's losing every game. He's betting them to lose every single game.
On the run line.
On the run line. I think they're predicted by most experts to lose anywhere from 100 to 110 games. Yeah. This is going to be fun. Now, do you have to do this every day?
That's awful.
Yeah, like you wake up every day and place the bet, or can you just say, I want to bet for the season?
No, I have to wake up every day and play.
That stinks. See, I would forget some days.
They start a 3-game series against the Mets this weekend. I expect the Mets to sweep and crush them, just like the Rays did a couple weeks ago. I've lost 2 in a row. I fully expect to win at least 2 or 3.
Mikey, what you wake up in the morning, got a tickler on your phone that says,
he must.
Bet the A's?
Yeah, A's bet.
Yeah, actually I do.
I mean, you'd have to.
Alarm.
Because the last thing on my mind when I wake up are the Oakland A's.
Right. and you are doing this because it was the NCAA tournament, and a person was trying to figure out the algorithm, right?
He bet $100 on every underdog to win.
Yeah.
And he finished, I didn't follow it up. I think at one point he was $6,000 up or something.
Yeah, he ended up winning like $5,500. Now he bet $100 per game. I'm just going 10 because I work in media. So.
That's fine.
You'd have
That's
made
fine.
$550.
You know what? Listen, I think this guy that did the NCAA tournament, now granted, there were some big long shot underdogs that won, and those paid big money. But I'm going to be curious to see what happens next year if you bet 100 on all the dogs in every game.
That ain't going.
How much did he end up winning?
I think 5,500.
Yes,
6,000.
Close to $6,000.
I mean,
well, you can't.
it's not bad.
Yeah, but it changes here. With if you just talking about the NCAA, you go to basketball. I mean, the transfer portal changed the whole thing. You have a team
that's why the underdogs are winning.
That looks like garbage, and then they look like, oh my God, where do you get these dudes from?
That's exactly right. All right, let's start the show with the Cavs and the Knicks series. Before you walked in the door, Brad.
Yeah.
G and I are really nervous about this series.
You should be.
I don't know where you are on the panic meter. I'm not panicking.
I don't know panic meter.
But I'm very concerned. I think this is a bad matchup. Of the 5, 6, 7, 8s, I would have much rather. Now, obviously, the 5 is considered the better team, but this is going to be interesting for the Cavaliers. Biggest X factor for you will be what or whom?
Well, I just think, first of all, let me just preface what I'm about to tell you.
Okay. You don't have to give your pick yet.
No. I'm not concerned because I have the Cavs. I've always had the Cavs winning 4-2, right? A 4-5 matchup is always the toughest matchup.
It is.
It really is the toughest matchup.
I think the 5's going to win the series out west.
So in this case here, and I don't even put money on the home court, because if you watch it in the play-in, the home court is not really having an effect here.
No.
Your biggest X factor for the Cavaliers is just this: if Donovan Mitchell plays like he's supposed to play, and you bought what you thought you were buying, that's enough to get you over the Knicks. Because the Knicks, at some point, and for folks in the NBA who follow this thing, the Knicks at some point are going to turn into the Knicks. It's a guarantee.
Knicks are going to Knicks.
They're going to turn into the Knicks at some point here. They're having a great season, right?
They are.
But they're still the Knicks, right?
Right.
And that's what, and you can listen to the bravado out of New York.
Yeah. And there's plenty of it.
That's their biggest fear, because they're waiting for this thing. They've seen it.
They have.
I've seen it with Cartwright and Ewing.
The Yankees.
I've seen the whole thing, right?
Yeah.
I've seen the thing implode on them, right? And because when it comes down on a ton of bricks. My biggest fear is this: making sure that no one gets shell-shocked early. Because the game and a half, to put everything right, we better get game 1 out the box.
You aren't kidding.
You better get game 1 out the box.
You give the Knicks game 1, and I will change the way I look at the series.
I love that, man. You did that right there, man. That first game.
You like that?
I like that, man.
man.
Yeah. I feel a little better, because I thought I was the only one feeling like that. But, you come in here and that's what happens. I'm going to say it, like.
Who's your X factor?
X factor, I'm going to go with Isaac Okoro.
Oh, wow.
Because I'm under the preface that I'm rotating people up out of here quick. I don't got no time. There's no time. Sometimes.
How deep are you going? Typically, the playoff roster is 8 and no more.
8.
9 guys will get in trouble.
8. And somebody, so Lamar Stevenson and Isaac Okoro is the same person, give or take. So if you play
it's 8.5 then.
Yeah. So if you play one of them, the other one ain't playing in the series. So I'm gonna go with 8. I'm gonna go with Jetty. I'm gonna go with Karis LeVert, obviously, and then I got Ricky Rubio. Everybody else, we're gonna have to figure it out. So that means your bigs can't be in foul trouble, and that means if you're gonna start Brunson, Isaac Okoro, you need him to limit the ability to get to the basket and things like that. And here's the biggest X factor: can you hit your open threes? If he's not hitting his open threes, you might need to see somebody do something like this. And you hear, Mark Jackson, and they're putting Danny Green in the starting lineup. It's like, you're like, what happened? Danny Green is starting. That's a Ty Lue move. Ty Lue used to just be like, you know what, Kevin Love, you're not playing. We was like, what? What you mean Kevin Love ain't playing? Who you gonna play there? Nope. We're gonna go with Tristan Thompson. So the rotation to me is huge, Jay, because we go 8 deep, and I like the fact that the Knicks bench is better than ours.
Yeah, you like that?
Yes, because then you know what that makes you. None of your starters can take off. So now
you think it puts pressure in a good way on the Cavs starters?
So who off the Knicks bench are you impressed with?
I like them as a collective.
Well, give me the collective.
Well, but the thing is, like, once you get to this point, how deep will Tibbs' rotation go?
This is a matchup game. This is based on here. This is not based on 82 games. This is based in the minute. How the next 5 minutes go.
Sure.
Right? Because if this thing goes like it's supposed to go, if Donovan Mitchell does what he's supposed to do, leading the way, and the others follow, I don't need you to do more than you can do. Just do what you do. Right? Jared Allen, you stand there and block some shots and give me some rebound. Evan Mobley, do what you do since the All-Star break. Just do that, right? And then Karis LeVert, don't fade away on me. Since the All-Star game, since the trade deadline, you've been money, right? Stay money on me. Stay money on me, right?
Do you need anybody else to be a wingman? You need anybody else to?
Well, it would be helpful if I had a wingman, but here, I'm playing with what I got, right? So what I got is a dude who can go, right? I'm not sitting out here fooling around, because sometimes these coaches, Pat Riley comes to mind, like. He had that book, Born to Coach. How about Born to Overcoach, right? Don't do it. Here's the deal. I have a closer, right? Darius Garland. You got to play. You got to deliver. You can't disappear on me.
Oh,
right?
that's where I was going.
Don't disappear on me here.
That's where I was going.
I mean, they're all important when you get down to it.
Here, but that's how we've won.
Sure.
That same way. Don't get out of that. It used to be a time, Jay, when you played in the NBA playoff, it went to a defensive presence in the game. The game went from a high-scoring game like the Pistons.
Are you saying that era's over?
That's gone. That's gone. They've rewritten the rules.
Wait a minute. I mean, I know that it's gone in the regular season, but even in the past few years,
I watched the play-in.
defense wakes up in April.
I watched the play-in games here, right?
Well, does that count?
Yeah, but here, it's a playoff intensity. It counts.
I guess,
right?
yeah, you're right.
Home, right?
Yeah,
it's
the elimination games for sure.
But 3 of the 4 playing games, the scoring was way down, though.
No, but
Yes, it was.
They were
Here.
down considerably. And
Mikey.
Minnesota missed a ton of shots. I'm not giving LA all the credit, but the scoring was way down.
No disrespect to you, all right? No disrespect to you, right? There's a cadence to this pro game, right? This ain't the Y, right? We ain't playing that over there, the Y, right? There's a cadence here, right? Defensively, that era is gone. I just saw a highlight the other day with Rodman checking Morning in the Post, right? Oh, they don't let you do that no more.
Oh, well, now listen.
That's
there
gone.
are levels to this, though. We're not talking like the 80s.
Yeah, I mean,
90s.
they used to punch guys in the mouth.
Man, that's when basketball was basketball.
I agree
this ain't
with
no
you
real
on
basketball.
that, but I disagree with your overall premise, though, that defense in April is dead. Listen, I couldn't agree more with you in the regular season. In fact, I think, guys, this year, there has been less emphasis on regular season defense. I thought I was watching an all-star game all year.
Let me ask you this. All right, so if I asked you to name me the top 5 defensive players.
No, it's not that kind of game anymore.
You couldn't give it to me.
You know why, Brad? Because I think in the regular season, guys have just figured out that defense is optional. It doesn't remind you of an all-star game. Not quite to that level.
I mean, I can probably give 5.
Outside of All-Star game, they've rewritten the rules so they play a different way.
No, and I get that too. But even in the last few years, when we get to the playoffs and the calendar flips to April, guys start banging bodies again. Not to the level of the 80s. I wouldn't even approach that.
Who was banging bodies last year?
I saw teams playing defense in the playoffs last year. McNuggets, am I
like
crazy?
Who?
You guys are both right. Brad's right. The defense, even played well today, is night and day different.
Well,
than
I agree with that
early
statement.
90s, 20s.
I 100%.
80s.
You can't debate that.
No, but I'm saying, so Brad's right in the sense that defense today is not defense then. You're also right that even in today's NBA, regular season defense versus playoff defense are two completely different games. You guys are both right.
There's another notch or two that these defenses can ratchet up. And actually, Brad, I think that plays to our benefit.
Well, here,
I think we're a better defensive unit than we've shown.
You have a better defensive team than what I'm looking at coming out of New York. I'll take Jared Allen, Evan Mobley,
I will too.
Stevenson. I will take Okoro. I will take Rubio at times.
Do you think we're going to see things out of these guys in this series that we didn't see regularly in the regular season? I hope so.
I'm expecting for some the guys who have been around.
Yeah.
To kind of lead the thing. The other thing I'm not concerned about. Let me change that. I'm not concerned, but I have my eye on, right? Because everybody can panic here. I don't need JB to panic here, right?
No, that's key.
Don't panic here.
Right.
We here now. Because what happened watching these playing games, them coaches was folded up to 10 on the sideline. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And these were guys who were supposed to be well versed. Like Nick Nurse looked awful. I was like, oh my God. I was like, you got a job? How do you even have a job? Minnesota coach basically gave the game back to the Lakers.
Yeah, he was up. I think they was up like 12 points, 15 points.
Darvin Ham, for that matter. I was like, what are you doing?
I look at it like this. Now, I will say, you may get an opportunity to see somebody blossom, right? I've been in these. When I watch playoff games, there's always one or two guys who step it up and get to a point where they're saying, this kid is showing us he's a star. I remember Trae Young doing it. I remember Paul George back in the day with the Miami Heat, right?
Guys that haven't established themselves necessarily as stars yet.
Yeah, but they get into them playoffs and they see it and they go after it. Jalen Brunson was a guy last year.
You think Karis LeVert can be that guy?
We're going to see. There's a lot of scripts to be written here.
Mikey, you just told me in my ear, and I wasn't.
I'm texting. No, you're good. You're good. Keep going.
No, I'm curious. The scoring last year in the playoffs was down?
Compared to the regular season, yeah.
Yeah,
like in the finals, for example, Golden State in the regular season averaged 111 points per game. In the finals against Boston, which they won, they averaged 103. Boston averaged 111 points in the regular season. They averaged 99.9 points.
So down almost 10 points for both.
Yeah, and now, granted, they each had one terrible shooting game. Golden State only scored.
But Mikey, I attribute that to defense.
I do too. I'm saying it is different. It's Brad's different.
And I
not
probably,
this different.
Mikey, I probably don't attribute it to. Okay, there is some defense being played here, but what I attribute it to is the game-by-game adjustments that are being made.
Yeah.
Say you came out and put 115 on me the first day, right?
Right.
The second game, I can't let you come out and put 115 on me. So I'm going to make some junk adjustment here to bring that down, right? And that's what accumulates to the lower scores. Because you're just trying to get out the moment.
In game-to-game situations, you look at like Darius Garland, right? For me, it hinges on what is he going to be able to bring you. Because if you got Donovan Mitchell, he's going to do what he does. He's been playoff tested.
He's going to be 30 plus a night, pushing 40 perhaps.
40, yes. Now, if Darius Garland says, "Oh, let me add 25 to that," series done, series over. You can because my defensive guys we gonna ratchet that up. You got 2 rim protectors, and that's the thing that a lot of people don't have in the league. You just need to figure out where you're gonna get enough points to get guys to move. Because if you look at the Cavs team, I like what they got an instant offense dude off the bench in Karis LeVert. They got the closer in Donovan Mitchell. It all depends on how Darius Garland is able to feed the bigs and get them involved, so that it puts that pressure on.
Let me say why I believe the biggest game here is game 1.
1,000%.
Right. One, you have to get the win, right? And you get the win not just to start off in the right way. When they roll in, when the Cleveland Cavaliers roll into to Madison Square Garden, if you've never played there in a playoff game,
I ain't gonna lie.
It is like being on Broadway.
I ain't gonna lie.
The crowd is gonna be in a frenzy, and they can get to such a frenzy it can alter the game.
Yeah.
Right. The other thing I'll tell you, just listen. The whole thing is real. The lights get dimmed in the crowd.
Yep.
The lights are on the court. It's like you being in a play. Then the other thing is you're going to hear that crazy organ going on.
I know it's crazy.
Shut up. Freaking
as
organ.
A player, what does that do to you mentally?
Right, well, you've been watching as a kid. You're like, oh my God,
it's iconic.
I'm here. This is it, right?
It is.
And what I don't want to see occur, because it can work the other way. Donovan Mitchell, who is from near the area,
he knows it.
He may try to take on the Superman role. I'm about to do this whole thing. I'm like, wait, hold on. I just need you to do what you're doing.
Because it could be intoxcating when you start pulling up, and the Knicks crowd give it to you. They'll be like, oh, they'll be like, he come up with the dagger 3. They're like, oh, like the crowd get quiet. I'm not gonna lie.
Because they're gonna be out for blood that game 3.
Kobe, Jordan, LeBron. They've all said it. When they go to Madison, something different.
That thing's
LeBron
special.
especially. LeBron loves it.
That thing's special.
So a couple of things. I've got my series X factor. I didn't just look at the Cavs. I looked at the series. I think the guy is Julius Randle. Obviously coming off the ankle. What is he going to be? If he's Julius Randle, this is going to be a real mountain climb. If he's not Julius Randle and we still see some remnants of the ankle, then I think that the Cavaliers can win this series in 6 or 7. But here's you stole my thunder with the biggest game of the series.
Because I want to ask you a
question. There's a
question.
saying in the NBA, the series doesn't start until a road team wins.
Yeah, yeah.
Here's my fear. Now, granted, I've got 57 years of Cleveland fans' skepticism at work here, okay? So forgive me if I sound either negative or skeptical. Home court advantage is game to game in an NBA series.
It sure is.
Yep.
Right now, the Cavaliers have home court advantage.
Lose game 2.
If you lose game 1,
the
Knicks now
have
home court advantage.
In a major way.
That demoralizes you because
you got to get 2.
All the work we did to make sure we were the 4, not the 5. All the energy we expelled, gone in 48 minutes.
Got to get to 2.
You've got to hold serve. Not just 1, but 2, and here's why. You've got to win the first 2. Because if you go back to New York, the crowd that you spoke of, which will already be on steroids because they haven't seen a playoff team in so long, they're going to be so fueled for game 3, even if they come home down 0-2. Now imagine they come home 1-1.
Yeah.
They smell blood in the water. And they're going to be extra nuts on Donovan Mitchell.
Let me throw
because even though it really wasn't his choice, they wanted him, and Cleveland got him.
So let me throw you some hot sauce on this thing, on these two-piece wings.
2-piece? I want a 3.
I got 7-piece
2
wings.
and a biscuit. What if Julius Randle go to thugging?
He could.
Like, because, he plays a physical game.
He can
now, who is going to match that on this side?
We don't have an answer for that.
And he go to thugging, and then the referees let him get the thug game on.
No.
We got a problem. We have a problem.
So they're going to let – by the way, this is not my concern. I'm not scared. The physicality.
Yes.
Right? I'm not sure if Jared Allen understands the level he's going to have to play in these playoffs. I think he's a nice guy. I think he needs to flip that switch and be nasty. No. I think when the fouls come, he needs to be dunking everything by the rim. He's going to need to be nasty in these playoffs.
So, I played for Tip. Tip was assistant coach for me when I was with the Timberwolves, right?
Right.
Oh, he smells blood in the water. Oh, he going to tell them, oh, you going to hit them. You're going to hit Allen and Mobley. Let me see what happens.
He wants physical.
Oh, yes, I want to see what happens.
I'm going to see what happens.
We didn't see Darius Garland get knocked out.
We're going to see what happens. Because if we
him.
stand out here and let them have their way, we're too athletic. We got too much going. We lobbing. We breaking you off the dribble. So now how do I counteract that? I play a real physical game. That's why I say thugging, right? Because and it depends on how the referee calls. If he letting us bang around, right? Because be clear, everyone out here in TV land, be clear. The NBA needs the Knicks to be a viable commodity in the NBA. Yes, they do. They cannot have the Knicks off in the corner somewhere.
So what you saying is
they're going to let them play.
You not going to get them calls like that. Because to be truthful, I was going to go there, but I didn't want to go there already.
Get your money off.
When you go to New York,
that's the elephant in the room, and I'm glad you brought it up because the NBA, more than anything, needs the Knicks to be relevant. And they haven't been for 3 decades.
So let me stop everybody. Ain't no fixing the game. There's no fixing the game.
No, but they can set the talent.
But I can speak to this, right? Bulls, Cavaliers, 89, the series of the shot.
Yeah.
We're staying in the Beachwood Marriott, right? And this was going for Game 5, that final shot game.
Yeah.
So we're on the day off. Scottie Pippen and I forgot who, I think it was Horace. We're sitting in the lobby because we got a lot of time to kill. We didn't already practice. We got a lot of time to kill. And I lived up the street in Warrensville. My mother and them lived in Warrensville. I didn't go home. I just stayed at the hotel with the guys, right? It was around the corner. Mm-hmm. So we're sitting in the lobby because we're tired of sitting in the room. CBS, this when the game was on CBS Sports, on CBS. The CBS executive sports president and one of the guys in the NBA, they're staying in the same hotel we're staying in because that was the hotel. We're sitting there just talking. They walk in, they see us, and they walk over to us. And the guy says this to us. The guy from CBS says this. Come on, y'all. I'm gonna need y'all to win tomorrow. Because the winner was gonna play the Knicks in this.
They wanted a Chicago-New York matchup
in the semifinals, right?
Yes.
Not in the Eastern Conference, but the semifinals. Mm-hmm. He says this. Come on, y'all. I'm gonna need y'all to win.
Wow.
Because we cannot have Cleveland playing New York in the semifinals.
And that's the rule, not the exception.
And I sat there, I did like this. I was pissed. I was
jaw
like,
drop.
I was like, what you talking about? And I took it from the standpoint, I'm from here. I'm from here. What are you talking about?
We can't have that.
We're playing straight up here. What are you talking about here?
We can't have that.
But you can see they have their favorites they want to see too for their various reasons.
Well,
they say I can sell a commercial in Chicago and New York, but I can sell one probably in New York and Cleveland.
And back then, the investment for the networks was measured in tens of millions.
Right.
Now it's in billions.
Right.
And I can tell you from having lived through this nightmare of the NBA playoffs from a TV side, there were mathematical formulas at the network, at ESPN, where they knew if certain series didn't work out certain ways and they didn't have the finals go 7 games, there were going to be a lot of layoffs.
Yeah.
That happened.
Yeah, no question.
And the reason it happened is because when a 7-game series becomes a 5-game series, you lose
a lot of revenue.
4.5 hours of commercial revenue,
a lot of revenue.
Of inventory. And that's not measured in thousands or tens of thousands. That's measured in millions because that's where the NBA contracts make their money, the playoffs.
And this is here, like I tell people again, there's no fixing it. This is how it works. Right? The guys are just playing. But there are things circling around on the periphery that people are taking into consideration
it's funny that you said that because the temperature in the room, the referees have to feel that sense.
Yeah.
And even if it's something as subtle as a comment from the CBS Sports president to the officials, hey, man, give us a show now. Let these guys play. We want to see them play.
Let them
Well, I
play.
don't want whistles.
Hey, come on. Let them play,
They know what
guys.
that means.
I'll flip that to the NCAA women's tournament, the final between LSU and, I'll go to Iowa and South Carolina.
Right.
So here's the deal. They're building a product.
Yeah.
Right? But in this product of the final game, the people tuned in this high number to see the stars play.
Sure.
Well, you done fouled out all the stars. The stars sitting on the sideline.
They ruined it.
That is the
They
because the
ruined
TV
it.
people are like, no.
Yeah.
And you think they didn't get to the NCAA and be like, hey, you better get a better crew in there because this is not what we're paying for here.
I felt like it was about the officiating crew.
Right.
And not the game.
And this is why when you get to the NBA playoffs, they have the best of the best. And the old heads know the deal. They're like, we're not here to be impacting the game like that.
In general, both when you played and today, that we know that the games are played differently.
Right.
Defense is a much bigger priority. Are they officiated differently? And if so, how?
They're officiated differently like this because you had a lot of older people who had been around for a long time, 20, 30 years.
Tony Brothers.
I mean, they've been there for a long time. And so and the veteran guys know this, right? They know how to control the game, not to let it get out of control. And it's how you work the game. Like, you two banging with one another. I'm not calling foul on Jay. I'm not calling foul on you. I said, let me pull you together here, right? We're not having that nonsense here. Clean it up down here. I'm going to give you some leeway. They talk to you.
Yeah, they let you know.
Okay.
Hey, both of y'all.
It's like an umpire establishing a strike zone.
Okay, here's the deal. All right. And then we got out of bounds. I told you I was going to clean it up. You got to stop all that. Right. Then you respect it. But then you get some young people that come in here, and immediately off the way, they blowing the whistle on you.
Yeah.
You got 2 fouls. You out 3 minutes. You change the whole dynamic
in general,
of the game.
would you say that the officiating in the playoffs leans more towards letting them play, or it's officiated perhaps a little more strict because they don't want things to get out of hand?
Well, it depends. If you got a young crew, the pressure, because you're going to get the pressure from the crowd and everything else, the environment.
Yeah.
You know, you may not.
Most of these crews, though, are veterans.
But you may have a young person in that crew.
In the crew.
Right. It is the ones that understand the moment. Like, here, we're not being influenced here, but we understand the mission. The mission is let the game be resolved right here. Now, this thing here, I'm going to just tell you, we better meet the moment in game one here, Jay, because if you don't meet the moment in game one here, so it's going to be a problem for us. Because you're going to be 2 games in the hole.
Let me ask you.
And the problem with losing even one of the home games, the Knicks have a better road record than the Cavs do. So not only would one win for the Knicks in the first 2 games give the Knicks a home court advantage, it gives them a distinct home court advantage because the Cavs have not been as successful winning on the road this year as the Knicks.
I'm expecting the people in Cleveland to be at a frenetic pace here at Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse.
I talked to some folks at the Cavs yesterday, by the way. They're asking everybody that's going to the game, get there early.
Right. Yeah,
they want the atmosphere in the building to
Electric.
be tip-off ready 45 minutes before the tip. So the game starts at 6.
I have played.
They want people there at 5 to 5:15.
I have played a playoff game in Cleveland. It was at the Coliseum. That game 5 was at a frenetic pace. It was electric in the Coliseum. So I know it can be done here.
Yeah.
The thing I will say this is,
We've seen it here.
Is this. I'm concerned about the layoff. That's a long time in between games.
Yeah.
Right? So if you're a veteran crew, you may know.
12 days?
It's been a long time,
I
right?
think it was 12 days.
I was glad to see Jared Allen and Evan Mobley playing. I said, let me play in this last game. Get a little work here. I'll play long, but I got some work here.
But it's a long layoff.
It's a long layoff
even with
here.
that.
Brad, you know what's so funny about that is all of these things. The reason why the Knicks should be scared is this: if Julius Randle go off, he got 32. All right. If Brunson go off, he gonna go off and get me some 2-point shot. You get in the lane and do. All right, you got some 30 plus. See, but here's the problem with the Cavs. If Darius Garland go off, we've seen him get 50. We've seen Karis LeVert get 50. And we've seen Donovan Mitchell get 70. Now, I'm not saying that's all going to come together at once, but you could be off on a layoff. And the advantage that the Cavs got is that Donovan Mitchell going to come in on a new level. I feel like he going to come in completely locked in. And other people can be nervous, but he gonna sense the moments. And when he knocked down a couple big shots, everybody gonna be like, okay.
If we scoring 105 points in the game, Donovan Mitchell gonna give me what, 35 max, 35, 40. So so then you still got another 70 you gotta produce. If they start letting you thug this game out, be real physical in this game here, what is going to happen?
We don't have an answer to that. We do not have an enforcer.
And I know Tibbs knows that. I know he knows that. Right?
And what does Tibbs do? He goes for the weakness.
Right. And
he's
so
we're gonna know.
You're gonna know in the first quarter where this thing is going. The other thing is you look on the other side of New York. Brunson from Villanova, he ain't scared.
No.
Julius Randle from Kentucky, he ain't scared. Right. They've been in big moments. They've been in big places.
Sure.
Now everybody on our side ain't been in big places.
Most haven't.
They have not.
Most have not.
Right. So this is what we have to. That's why you need the guidance from the sideline to work the quarter by quarter.
Let's do this. Let's pick the series winner and give us the number of games. Brad, where you going?
I got Cavs 4-2.
Okay.
4-2.
G. Bush.
Tight though.
I got Cavs in 7. They pull it together, and they run away from them at home, and they finish it off here at the Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse.
All right. I've gone back and forth, and I'm going to do it again. I wrote down one thing. I'm going to flip it. Partly because we can't all pick the Cavs. I hate to be the guy that picks against the Cavs, but I've got a lot of logic behind my thought. Tibbs gets the huge check when it comes to head coach. Now, in a regular season game, I don't really look at the head coaching matchup because they're playing checkers. But now we're playing chess. And Tibbs is a high-level chess player.
Yeah. JB had not been there.
I don't know what JB is in this realm.
We're going to find out.
I know what Tibbs is. And I have to give the check right now. Please prove me wrong. I hope JB proves me wrong. But right now, my fear is that Tibbs has a sizable advantage. Not slight. I think it's sizable.
I'm counting on Bernie Bickerstaff to be in JB's ear.
I hope he is, but he can't be in his ear during the game.
No, but he can give you some counsel.
I get that.
Because this is game,
I get that.
Again, this is game by game.
I saw some things close and late out of JB in the regular season that give me pause.
Not getting the ball in.
Using a timeout, and then the play after the timeout, you don't get the ball in, or you turn it over immediately, or you don't get a shot off. I saw that this year.
And there's nothing against his staff. I mean, I think his staff does an excellent job. But here, I am a proponent for always having a veteran guy on the sideline in your ear.
Your bench coach.
Somebody who's been there.
Yes.
And because you're not going to get excited. I've seen this drill 100 times. And we need to be thinking about that. And we don't have that, right? Tibbs has it because he's had the experience of being a side guy.
He's that guy.
So he's the guy, right? So we're going to find out a lot about people here.
So I am giving a sizable edge to Tibbs.
I can't argue with
I can't ignore the body of work that we've seen in the regular season. I know the playoffs are going to be different, but I just felt like the Knicks match up extremely well against this Cavaliers team.
Have you tuned in to New York radio here?
No.
Oh my God!
Cocky.
Oh my God!
I know they are.
It's off the chain.
I know they are. They think they're already scouting who they're going to see in the second.
This is like foregone.
How are we going to match up with the Bucks?
This is a foregone conclusion.
I know it is.
I
don't feel that comfortable.
I thought on Saturday in the barbershop I had a national show. I said, where these New York dudes keep calling me from?
Yeah.
Who's talking about? Hey, you know y'all about to get swept, right?
I'm trying to wash out my Cleveland bias. I'm trying to wash out what I want to happen. What I want to happen is the Cavs in 4. But what I'm fearful is going to happen is the Knicks are going to win this in 7. I think they're going to win one of the two in Cleveland to start the series, and then they'll hold serve.
We're gonna find out, Jay, and I'll say this about Donovan Mitchell, right? Because we've seen it here. We've been mentioning LeBron's names. We've been mentioning certain people's names and how look. The reason we did not lose. Even in the earlier rounds in 2018, I watched one of the worst Cavs team of all time.
LeBron James.
I watched LeBron James get the Pacers out of here, get the Raptors up out of here, then go to the Boston Garden in Game 7 and masterfully dictated what they were going to do.
But I don't think anybody will mistake Donovan Mitchell for LeBron James.
No, but we gonna decide whether Donovan Mitchell is a superstar of the highest length,
you're right.
Or he's just a good player.
Would I be shocked if after 2 games it was not 1-1? A 4-5 matchup dictates that probably is going to happen, right? those two are the most evenly matched teams in the playoffs. That's typically what it is, right? So I would not be shocked if it went 7. I would not be shocked if it was a split at home, right? Which turns the dynamic back to New York. So this is going to be quite interesting.
But in the first round, don't you give the edge to the team with the best player on the court if it's a first-round series?
Every series.
No, I don't tip here. I say he may have the best player on it. It depends on who's on the other side because I can understand. There have been, you can take people out of the game in just minutes, right? You just need to win in minutes. These games, if they're close, they come down to minutes.
They do, but they also come down to matchups. Before we leave this, Mikey, you had some graphics built on how key players in this series did against one another in the regular season, which, by the way, the Knicks won 3-1. They won the last one in Cleveland 2 weeks ago handily. Handily. And that is the biggest. I can't get that out of my mind. That's my last impression of these two teams. It was easy. This scares me. That one right there. I'm glad you called that one up first because there's another one that scares me. That one terrifies me.
Let me see. The thing about that, which is, so Brunson is on a mission. See, if you don't know the story about him and his departure out of Dallas, right? How Cuban didn't want to pay him the money.
They're looking crazy now.
He forced him.
Now he has a chance to prove Mark Cuban was wrong.
So he's like, I'm proving everybody wrong.
That's right.
So he's playing with a chip on his shoulder, right?
And his chip can be big at times.
Yes, see, Villanova, he don't care.
He does not care.
He don't care. Right?
But look at that. Guys, those numbers are terrifying. There's one other one that you brought up.
Randall
I think it was Mobley and Randall.
13 points.
13 against 30? 23. Okay. That scares me, guys. Those are key players in this series.
Randall's a high-volume shooter, so he's going to shoot more times than Mobley, right? But the question is, again, you've seen Randall self-implode too.
That's why I think he is the X factor. If his ankle is bad,
he can implode.
He can.
If Evan Mobley is going to be a close finish, either first or second in Defensive Player of the Year. The Cavs, we talked defense earlier. The Cavs have 2 elite defenders underneath the basket. If you are telling me Evan Mobley is a Defensive Player of the Year, you should not have no problems putting him on Julius Randle.
Well, that goes though to Brad's point about will Randle thug it up.
Yeah,
if he does, our guys can look small and invisible real fast.
And I'm going to remind you of something. When Joel Embiid was here the last time, right?
That's another one.
No, he went to the physicality game on him, right?
And we folded like
and
a
we
cheap
folded
suit.
like we folded up.
We don't have anything for that.
Right.
No.
So I'm saying,
and Tibbs knows that.
And the only way you can get that off, the referee in the stripe, he got to be letting you get it off, right? If he call a loose game.
Again, New York, and when I say New York, I mean the league.
Yeah.
Park Avenue, they want the Knicks. They need the Knicks to be relevant for the TV ratings more than anything else. TV ratings set revenue in this league. And there's no bigger market than the Knicks, and they have been completely irrelevant for 3 decades.
And you know what?
They need them to come back.
And we need revenue, too. So, McNuggets,
we got business
get us some of that revenue, dog.
Yeah, we're going to talk about the other playoff series in a sec, but first we took a little poll on who our fan base thinks is going to win the Cavs-Knicks series, and whenever we ask the internet a question, it's brought to us by our good friends at PCC Airfoils.
Oh, it's going to be 85%.
If you're looking for a job with career advancement and great benefits,
we're gonna find out.
PCC Airfoils is the leading manufacturer in Northeast Ohio. All locations of PCC Airfoils in Eastlake Manor, Wickliffe, and Minerva are hiring for all positions starting at $18 and up, plus full benefit packages, paid time off, and a signing bonus. You can apply online at precast.com/careers to learn more. We put a poll up on YouTube here.
Okay.
All right.
We got 626 votes.
Ooh.
Biggest poll maybe we've ever done. 96% are picking the Cavs.
You said
I
that.
love you, Cleveland. I love you. If nothing else, we're consistent.
I do want to read one comment in particular.
96?
90. I'm not kidding. Anthony, with my witness, can see 96%.
Can confirm 96%.
I do want to read one quote. This is my favorite comment because we asked, vote and then let us know how many games.
Yeah.
Dennis Dokes 1 says Cavs in 7, but also possibly a sweep. So that he's got it covered. He's got Dennis.
Also
Dokes,
could be the Knicks.
Dennis Stokes got it. So
all right, Dennis. Well,
the gentleman's sweep.
Here's what I love about that. In New York, they're taking the same poll. They're 100%.
Yeah, we ain't losing to y'all boys. We're not going to do that.
It's going to be fun to watch.
Oh, my God.
Let's quickly run through the other ones.
Okay.
Do you want to do all every one of us give all 8 picks,
96.
or do you want to go series by series?
We'll go series by series.
Okay.
Give your pick.
Let's start in the East. Bucks.
Yep. Don't
and the
gotta go
Heat.
super in depth.
I got Bucks in 5.
I got the Bucks taking down the.
I got
the Bucks taking down.
Sweet.
Taking down the
Celts,
the Heat.
Hawks 5.
I got the Celts taking down the Hawks, right?
Yep.
And probably 6. Probably 6.
Sixers,
Sweet.
Nets.
4-1. I got them 4-1.
Oh,
Okay.
that's probably a 4-1.
Sixers, Nets.
Yeah.
Everybody's going Sixers. I'm going Sixers in a sweep.
Sixers, Nets? Oh,
Yeah.
sweep.
I'm
I'm going to
going
talk about 4-1 on the other one.
Okay, on
Yeah,
the
sweep.
Celtics.
Nets is
so
out
the Hawks
here.
will win a game.
Yeah, Nets out
Celtics, I've got Sixers sweeping the Nets. I've got the Knicks, unfortunately, in 7. Let's go out west. Denver and Golden State.
I got
the Warriors.
No,
wait.
we're in the 8th seed.
Yeah,
Denver's
I'm
the
sorry.
8th seed.
Yeah, who are the 2 teams playing for the 8?
It is the Thunder and the Timberwolves.
Yeah, I got Oklahoma City winning the play-in, but losing to Denver in 6.
I've got Minnesota beating the Thunder.
Okay.
Right.
And then losing
I
to
see,
Denver.
I see they got religion. Say, go Bear, you come on back here with us. Come on.
I got Minnesota. I got Minnesota
I got them
for
taking them
Thunder.
down.
Oh, okay.
And then Minnesota is going to play Denver, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The winner of the play-in plays Denver.
I got Denver.
Okay.
Real quick, before you go on, I got the craziest stat I've ever heard of basketball.
Okay, yeah, go.
How many players on the Thunder average more than 5 rebounds per game?
7.
Well, you're asking it, so the answer is probably none.
1.
7.
1.
G. Bush is correct.
One guy.
One player on the Thunder averages more than 5
That's
rebounds.
insane.
Are you serious?
But they got like 6 people that average like 4.
They have like 7
Yeah,
guys
they
who
must.
average 4 rebounds.
They
But
must.
they have one player, Josh Giddey, their point
That's
guard,
crazy.
who averages over
Their
5
point guard
rebounds
is
a
leading
game.
them in rebounds.
Which is
Well,
why
he's
they-
like 6'7". He
which-
just doesn't shoot. He
which
kind of
is why
plays
they
point guard.
Which is
but
why
yeah.
they're gonna get run out of town.
This series, by the way, is I think one of the most fascinating in the first round.
What's that? Sacramento.
Memphis and the Lakers.
Oh, sorry, Memphis.
That's great for.
You're going Lakers.
That's great for TV.
It is great for
Hey,
TV.
listen.
Who do you like in that series?
I'm gonna take the Lakers.
See, I took Memphis, but I got him in 7.
Steven Adams is not playing in that series. He's done for the year.
Right.
That's their muscle. That's the thug it up guy.
Yeah.
Jaren Jackson, he's
He's
up
staying
for
foul
defensive
trouble.
player of the year.
He's staying
But
foul
then they got the dude Pocahontas with the braids, right? Like the two pigtails.
Brooks.
Pocahontas ain't talking about nothing.
So
His plus minus.
you guys are both going Lakers.
I'm going Lakers.
All right.
And I'm not on the Laker bandwagon, but I like.
But
No, the Lakers,
I
with
don't-
LeBron, the Lakers put it together.
with D'Angelo
Memphis-
Russell and the moves they made.
By the way, D'Angelo Russell to me is unrecognizable.
Yeah, I know.
Like, he looks so much different from when he played at Ohio
Oh, yeah.
State.
I like your boy Memphis. They talk too much.
Yeah, I think there's something to that.
And Ja Morant, I think they brought him down a couple of notches. Now, because one of the things you say about Ja Morant, he played with a swagger. He played with that reckless abandon, like you can't stop me and I'll fight you. And my dad,
Especially in the playoffs.
My dad will too. I got all kind of pistols. I'm bringing the guns to the locker room. Like, come on, Gilbert Arenas, y'all gonna get beat by the Lakers.
Like he's an NRA card carrying member.
Like, come on,
So
Concealed
we're
carry.
picking an upset there. 2 of the 3 of us have the Lakers beating Memphis. I've got Golden State over Sac in
So do I.
7.
Easy.
They're
So
the
do I.
betting favorite, by the
7.
way.
Are they the betting favorite? Yeah, I think it's going to go. I
They're a
think.
heavy betting favorite.
So do I.
No kidding.
Yeah.
So do I.
My good. Well,
They're
I mean,
minus
they're
240 to win the series.
See, I can't get out of my head that they're the defending champs and they're the Warriors. I know they're
4-1.
getting old, but
4-1. Sacramento gets 1 game at home to avoid elimination in the sweep.
Steph Curry ain't let Mike Brown beat
Ever.
him. It ain't gonna happen.
Listen,
Yeah, probably not.
He has a cheat code in the playoffs where every single time he do something, you think it's going in.
yeah, I know.
Yeah.
And you know it. That
Usually in a big moment.
You know that defeats the odds. You know statistically it's not possible,
Wiggins
but
is
you
back.
think it's going in.
Right.
Wiggins took care of
Wiggins
it.
is back.
He off.
Yeah. Then the 4-5 in the
Before we do
West.
4-5, Jay.
Yeah.
We talked about the NBA possibly wanting New York to do well.
Sure.
Could you imagine the NBA
Both LA teams.
not just that, not wanting a LeBron Steph second round playoff series?
It'd be money.
If the Lakers beat the Grizzlies
It's-
and the Warriors beat
it's-
the Kings, we have LeBron Steph round 2.
It's
Just
bankable money.
Hey, Mikey.
Put 2 and 2 together.
Mikey,
you're
they
right.
sit,
That's
they
a good
sit in the
point.
league office because they have a big board where they lay out all the possibilities here.
Our what ifs.
They
Our
sitting-
dream
They
scenarios.
sitting out here like, Get ready to sell these. Get ready to sell this.
Just saying.
Can I ask y'all this? I think the only way that that anybody in the league office or any of the sponsors or television stations like the Cavs is if the Cavs upset people and then they see LeBron in the finals.
Oh, yeah. Listen, a Cavs-Lakers final would be
Would a
money.
Cavs-Lakers final be huge?
Yes, absolutely.
Hey, Jay.
Now, I still think they'd rather have the Celtics and Lakers.
Right.
It always starts
Jay,
there.
Explain to the people out here, when you get the scenario matchups that you look, the price that they charge. They've already figured out what the pricing is for different scenarios.
Right. Well, I'll tell you this, though. Here's the way it's sold.
They got variable pricing?
No, they don't, but here's the way it's sold. It's sold on an anticipatory number based on last year. So what did the West Conference second round finals do last year? So it's sold on a certain expectation. However, if viewership is expected to be 7 million per game and it ends up being 10 million per game, that sets the rate for next year.
Okay.
So it's money in the bank.
You putting that, okay,
So
you
now,
locking that away.
Now, what may happen is if the inventory isn't completely sold out, it likely is, but if it isn't, and suddenly you've got a Steph LeBron matchup in round 2, the price of poker for those ads just went way up. If they haven't already been sold. If they've been sold, it's an agreed upon number. They have to pay what they agreed to pay. But if there is unsold inventory and it looks like it's going to be the Lakers and the Warriors in round 2, you're going to pay
a premium
conference semifinal or conference final prices for the conference semifinals. Look at it this way: if you say, yeah, I've got a round 2 matchup between Memphis and Denver, or not even Memphis and Denver, Memphis and Sacramento, that excites nobody
At all.
At all. If I have to watch gasoline evaporate on my hot sidewalk, I might pick that over watching that series. But if you tell me it's the Warriors and the Lakers,
Jay, is that like?
I'm dropping everything.
Jay, is that like UConn versus San Diego State?
I'm not here for that.
I'm not here for that.
You know what?
But the Lakers and the Warriors,
that
will be viewed like a conference final and maybe even like an NBA championship.
I will say this, McNuggets. I know you're a basketball guy. NBA playoff basketball to me is probably the second best prospect of like watching it behind the NFL.
Hey,
but I don't have to watch the first 3 quarters.
No. It's
I don't. But the fourth quarter is
in
I
every
would say
game.
I would even argue with you and go this far. Outside of overtime hockey in the playoffs, fourth quarter NBA playoff is the best watch in sports.
Let me ask you this.
For my money. And you know how I feel about baseball.
You know how you feel about baseball.
But for me, where the action is and where the game is decided, give me the fourth quarter.
Jay, tell me what Warriors Phoenix is worth.
I forgot Phoenix had Durant. I forgot about that.
It's going to have great value because, again, you're going to see the matchups. If Durant has to face off against Golden State, I mean, they're going to be interested in that in Oklahoma City, in Brooklyn, and everywhere in between.
Yeah.
Because it's got the personalities that you want and the hatred.
And that's why I said the refereeing crew in all sports
and they know that.
It's critical. You cannot have that product sitting on the sideline.
No.
It cannot be there.
That is facts. You do not see. When is the last time you saw a top big star foul out of a playoff game?
I know.
They will not allow that.
Brad, when I made my list down, I got right here, Cavs defeat Knicks, 7. You had reminded me of something that I hadn't factored into my equation. And that's the fact that the NBA desperately wants the Knicks in the second round.
If it's close.
Desperately. And because I have this series so razor thin to begin with, you changed my mind when you said that. Because and we'll watch it and we'll talk about it here on this show on mornings after games. And officiating is going to drive Cavs fans nuts, and it may decide this series.
And so people don't know, this is not a new occurrence.
No, it's been going on forever.
This has been going on for years about the Knicks.
You're right.
Yes, it has.
Yeah.
Right? They've just
other teams
they
too.
just let them down every time.
The Celtics get breaks in the playoffs. Okay, McNuggets, we've got you. We do this thing called blind resume.
Blind resume game. 2 things first. After the Cavs game on Saturday, we are doing a live Cavs post-game show, so make sure you tune in with myself, Anthony, and Earl. We'll be recapping the game live as it wraps up, going about an hour afterwards.
Sometime around 8:30-ish, right?
8:30-ish, yeah, depending how the game goes. But we will be live on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show YouTube channel. Make sure you tap in for that. And also, if you need a snack to watch during the game, well, go buy some Built Bars. What are you waiting for? Use promo code LOCKDOWN15
Okay,
for 15% off at Built.com. I promise you, it will keep you full throughout the game.
We should send a box of those to the Cavs, by the way, before the
Yes.
series starts.
Beef Mobley up a little bit.
So real quick, as I was making graphics this week, just preparing for the playoffs and stuff, this is not a better or worse than this was just some interesting stats I saw that I thought, if you took the name off, who would you think had a better season? Without any other context. Let's just player A versus player B.
Okay.
Pick.
So you're going to show us their numbers, but not their names.
Exactly. And then you're going to take either player A or player B. We'll show you who they are. This is not saying anyone's better or worse, just stats I thought were pretty comparable that I thought were interesting. So let's have a little fun with this. Let's take the first one, Steve. You have player A, who averaged 14.3 points, 9.8 rebounds, 1.7 assists, 1.2 blocks, or player B, 14.8 points, 9 rebounds, 3.9 assists, or 1 block. Who would you take in this scenario, player A or player B?
Give me B for the assists.
I'm going to take, I like player A's defense.
I'm going A because I think I know who A is.
And I think I do too.
Well, take out who you think it is or not, but just, you still would take A?
I mean, here, we have to kind of figure out who the people are, but A's got good numbers across the board.
I think they both have comparable numbers.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, A scores a little bit more, or B scores a little bit more. A grabs a rebound a game more, but B. The reason I went with assists is because that's an additional 4 points per game for his team that he's directly responsible for. That's why I'm taking player B.
All right, let's see it, Steve. Player A was Jared Allen. Player 2 was Alperen Sengun of the Rockets.
My God. You know what, though? So here's what you run into. It depends on who you're playing with.
Yes. Once again, this is not saying better or
so
worse.
So those numbers in a
statistical anomalies.
Yeah, so here's the other side of my. Are you staying in Eastern Conference matchup, or you talking about?
I know.
We're going across the league.
The teams these guys are playing for, some of them are going to have a cap on certain stat categories.
Right.
You know, if you're playing for the Cavaliers, your number, and you're not named Darius Garland or Donovan Mitchell, your points per game average is going to be lower than it would be for just about any other team.
You're right.
Yeah. And once again, I'm not saying people are better. This is just some comparison.
But that is interesting because I never would have guessed ever in a million years that was who that was.
All right, number 2. Let's take it, Steve. Player A averaged 12.1 points, 3.8 rebounds, 3.9 assists, and had a 12.4 PER this year, while player B averaged slightly less points, 11.4, more assists at 5.2, and had a higher PER, 13.6. Player A, player B. Who you taking?
I'm taking B.
I'm taking B, too. I like the player efficiency rating and the assists.
Yeah, give me B.
But I know what he's doing. He's setting us up to have player B be trash, and player A is going to be a named player.
Yeah.
Cavs versus John Wall.
Ooh, interesting.
Wow.
Very interesting.
And you know what's so crazy about the league is once you get a bad rap, or once you
you done. You done.
Once
you've established that reputation, it's hard to break it.
It's over.
I mean, they just start buying you out, sitting you on the bench.
It's
over.
You're
right.
John Wall went from a guy who's a perennial all-star guy to, him and Bradley Beal saying they got the best backcourt going to the playoffs, and then now he's sitting on the bench.
He's just some dude.
Watching Kevin Porter Jr. jack up 96 shots. In Houston, bro, it just, you like, what happened, bro?
I know.
Once they give you that stigma, it's over.
John Wall had just talked crazy about his team in Houston. They sent him back to Houston.
I know.
And they were like, "Oh,
how you like
that's
how you like me now?
How you like me now?"
That's so dirty.
I always thought he was early in his career. I said, "This is a poor man's Allen Iverson."
Yeah.
And
even
now he's really a poor man's Allen Iverson.
Even worse because he don't really even finish that good around the rim like that. So at least Allen Iverson could finish over tall people
and take a game over.
Yeah,
if
right.
he had to.
Not just
Okay.
Real quick, we got 3 more, but first it is 12 o'clock, which means it is time to remind everybody that the lunch hour of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show is sponsored by Colleague Racing, the official NASCAR team of Northeast Ohio. We're going to pull up the next one. I got some additional context of these stats here. Steve, you can take the graphic full when you want. Player A here averaged 15.1 points, 9.6 rebounds, half a block, had a 50% field goal percentage, 30% from 3. He shot 4 threes per game. As opposed to player B, 16.2 points, 9 rebounds, 1.2 blocks, 55-21 split. He shot fewer than 1 attempt per 3. So player A,
I would hope so.
A 3-point shooter and relatively efficient. Player B, not. Who are you taking?
Give me B.
I'm troubled by.
B's
I mean, it's a 3-point game
man.
now, and if you're.
They had the exact same PER, by the way, the exact same.
B's a big man.
I think it is too, because the 21% from 3.
1-3.
Gosh, that was tough. But I still want a player that can hit a 3. Give me A too. It's a perimeter game, and
give me A.
B isn't doing any perimeter play.
This one was the best one. Take it, Steve. How about Bobby Portis versus Evan Mobley? Would you ever expect that?
I should have known it was Mobley when with the 3-point numbers.
Yeah.
I was afraid. I didn't think they were that low.
Yeah, it's when you do when you.
And we keep saying, if he can develop that shot.
By the way, Portis only played 27 minutes a game. He was one of the most efficient dudes in the league this year.
Wow.
Only 27 minutes.
So that's another thing too. You got to look at that. Like maybe I don't know what the sample size is on them. What minutes you got? What.
Mobley played 34, just for comparison.
Oh well, that's another thing too. Like, wouldn't it be interesting if Evan Mobley just started getting like 25 points a game in the playoffs?
See, I don't know if he can on this roster.
Right? Could he? And under what circumstances could you be like? Evan Mobley led the Cavs in scoring again today, and he had 30.
I can't imagine.
I would say who got hurt.
Yeah, I can't imagine that. And you know what? As we've talked a lot about, obviously that would be a ceiling, but can he become a Kevin Durant type? Mm-hmm. Can he develop that outside shot? The more and I know he's so young, and that's got to be factored in, but Kevin Durant's shot was always in college. Kevin Durant could shoot.
Kevin Durant was a shooter.
He was a shooter.
He came out the womb and pulling up from 15.
He was probably tall enough to do it.
Came
but
out
Mobley's lack of a shot is so jarring that you start to wonder.
Even if he got
that probably isn't his ceiling, and that's not a bad thing.
I'm starting to think it's more like Kevin Durant, LaMarcus Aldridge.
He's
type.
more Garnett than Durant.
I think I like that one too. I like
who's
that
more?
Too.
Who you say? You said Kevin Mobley's more Garnett
than Durant.
Yeah.
He's just never going to be that outside force.
I think he might have that LaMarcus Aldridge range when he's back in Portland. He give you that. Like by the way, I was just in the time machine the other day. I got in the time machine and I was watching the New York Knicks versus the Chicago Bulls.
Who was in there?
And your man, X-Man Xavier McDaniel was knocking down 18-footer after 18-footer. And I'm saying, bro, this is the hottest I've ever seen this man in his life. The X-Man was not hitting like that. I don't understand that. By the way, he had his own shoes, too. Yeah. It was black and white, and they had this little X. I remember that. Yeah. But I'm like, when did X-Man start? And then I just noticed that the Knicks had every power forward. They had a whole team full of power forwards.
Yeah, they did. That was their thing.
Mason, Oakley, X,
Charles Smith. They just kept rotating them in.
Yeah.
Goons. Yeah, shout out to them.
Yeah.
But yeah, go
different
ahead.
time.
We got two more.
Okay.
Let's take the next one, Steve. Player A averaged 28 points per game, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, 48% from the floor, 38% from 3. He attempted 9 threes a game, had a PER of 23 and a 33.3% usage rate. Player B averaged 25.6 points, 8.6 rebounds, 1.9 assists, 51 from the floor, 39 from 3 on 8 attempts per game, had a 26% usage rate and a PER of 22.
Okay, that one's really close. Really close.
You got,
but I like those rebounds, man.
Is that Donovan Mitchell versus?
That's Donovan Mitchell versus 25. 8.
Durant?
It's not Randall, is it?
Take it, Steve.
Could be Randall.
Oh,
Larry Marketing.
Oh, damn.
I knew
something like that.
Look at those numbers.
Hey,
My God.
Once again, context, Utah, terrible team, lot of opportunities.
I know.
By the way, if
It's like Kevin Love in Minnesota.
If
Somebody's got to gather those stats.
If the Cavs had Lauri Marketing and Donovan Mitchell, they would win the championship.
Well, you wouldn't have Donovan Mitchell without Lauri
I'm
Marketing.
Yeah,
saying,
but that's your cake
it's
and
greed.
eating
It's
it.
greed.
We have Donovan Mitchell because we let
It's
Lauri
greed.
Marketing go.
But I'm just saying, that piece, can you imagine?
No,
that
I know.
piece right there, I would be like, Milwaukee who? We got 3 7-footers. Dan Donovan Mitchell?
Yeah, that would be a mean lineup.
That's mean.
Mean lineup.
That's
All right, what's the
not
last
happening.
one?
And the last one, player A averaged 23.3 points, 6.4 rebounds, 8.4 assists, but was very inefficient from the floor. Player B, 21.6, 2.7, 7.8, a little more efficient, slightly higher PER. They both played almost identical minutes per game, so there's no finagling.
The
with
B player is Darius Garland.
Yeah.
I don't love the field goal percentage of A, but the production in every category is more. Now, it's probably volume related, but give me A.
I'll take B.
I think A might
think
be.
B's Garland, right?
Yeah.
I think A might be Harden.
It's not Harden. It's LaMelo Ball.
Shut up.
LaMelo versus Garland.
Shut up.
Once again, we're not saying players are better, just numbers. When you looked at them, I was like, damn,
that's why
those
you
were
can't. That's why you can't look at numbers.
pretty close.
It
Numbers
really
lie.
is. You know what? Brad just nailed it. The bottom line, the thesis statement to this exercise is you can twist numbers and say anything you want with them.
And you put anything. I was just listening to you talk about Lauri Marketing. You know, Angel Reese was on Maryland's team.
I did.
transferred.
I did not know that
Yeah, she transferred out.
until after the
So if you said Angel Reese back on Maryland's team, well,
championship. What you mean?
Now, what happened with Angel Reese that she?
nothing happened. What happened was there were
Issues?
It's not enough air to breathe for everybody.
Oh, okay.
They typically probably had 5 WNBA players,
Yeah.
and in order for all of them to coexist, you have to give up some of your game, right?
Yeah. You got to
And
be
everybody
very
don't-
selfless.
Everybody don't want to do that, right?
Right.
Because that is not success to them, right?
Right.
So people need to breathe and they want to move on. Well, she leaves. Diamond Miller game goes this way. Cheyenne games go this way, right?
Right.
So that's how it works. But I'm just saying that's why you can't always look at numbers.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Can't do it.
Can't do
Tricky,
it.
man. Their numbers are tricky. All right.
We're going to pivot to a little Browns talk, and as always, Browns talk is sponsored by Lincoln Electric. We got some good Browns topics to get to today. Lincoln Electric, the leading manufacturer in welding and electricity making facets. They are hiring for all great jobs. Check them out, Lincoln Electric. Jay, you want to take this one away?
Yeah. We talked about it at the top of the show. These numbers are just mind-numbing.
Okay.
The Washington Commanders fetched a price of $6.05 billion on the open market. Daniel Snyder will no longer be the owner once this sale is official. I think there's 2 big headlines here. The NFL gets rid of a wart. They've been they didn't know what to do with Daniel Snyder. The organization has been a mess since he bought it. Oftentimes the story included his name. And I always say that when you Google teams and owners, the team that has the fewest hits, when you check both of those boxes, is usually a winning team.
Yeah.
Like, for instance, Cowboys, Jerry Jones. They're probably going to come up more than any other team.
Yeah.
I want my NFL owner to do one thing: write checks.
Not be
Pick good people and write checks. And Dan Snyder never did that. Dan Snyder, when he first came on, it's been a while. People forgot. Any and all free agents that were on the market, Snyder bought them.
I remember Albert Hainsworth was
Albert Hainsworth. He made him the highest paid defensive tackle in the game ever. Like, if it was a named player and he was hitting the market, Dan was in on the conversation. He proved that you can't win that way. You can't. He mucked up the organization in just about every way possible. They were investigated by the league. There are many that believe that the league covered up most of the dirt.
Yeah.
And I think the NFL is just relieved that this is over, and that's why they were pushing for this so hard, because now it doesn't matter so much what was going on in the organization, because ding dong, the witch is dead.
And I will give him, we were, during the Deshaun Watson situation and it was going down, you know, I was critical, and a lot of people were critical of the fact that Dan Snyder was out here running amok. I'll give the NFL some sort of credit here by saying, hey, I know how it could be to sit around that round table full of made men and tell you, one of your own, hey, we can't do this no more.
Right.
That's a difficult thing. Like, you know, especially when you're talking about billionaires. People don't just give their business up. It's giving your people's businesses is their identity. When you say Washington Redskins or Commanders, you think Daniel Snyder, right? Like
you do now.
You do now.
You used to think Gibbs,
and
winning,
Art Monk, and guys that was
John Riggins.
Yeah, just the Hogs and you know, the band. Like
Gary Clark. Remember the Fun Bunch.
Dexter Manley. So all these guys, like, that's the thing about it. Like, one person.
Doug Williams.
Doug Williams.
Joe Theismann.
One person can mess up your whole doggone thought process of a story organization.
Especially when he's the owner.
Yes. And it's the Reds at the time, and we said at the Redskins, it's the Commanders, but we speak it in terms of the Redskins back then. The Redskins were known as one of the best organizations in the game.
Yeah.
Period. Full stop. They were a cornerstone franchise. Think about this, guys. A lot of teams have won multiple Super Bowls, but when you look at like the Steelers, they won 4 with Bradshaw. The Patriots won 6 with Brady. The Niners won 3 with Montana and I think 2 with Steve Young. Mm-hmm. The Redskins were doing it with different cats.
Mark Rippon.
They were doing it with Rippon, Doug Williams.
Yep.
Their most recent.
He didn't win the Super Bowl.
Theismann didn't win a Super Bowl, but who was their most recent? Was it Rippon? Like,
Mark Rippon, they played the Bills in, I believe it was 91 or.
But Joe Gibbs, like they were just, you know, it was Jack Kent Cooke was the owner.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And he was your traditional NFL owner. He hired great people and got the hell out of the way.
When I always remember when the Browns used to, because they never really played them that much, it seemed like, I used to always have this feeling when they say, hey, we're going to RFK Stadium. And I'm like, I ain't never seen the Browns play good in RFK, ever. Like
well, didn't there, I think, if I'm not mistaken, it wasn't that long ago where they only had maybe 1 win ever at Washington.
Yeah, like
because they don't play there very often, but they haven't had much success. Because my memory is yours.
Yeah, like
we go there, that's an L.
That's an L. We're not winning over there.
But it's funny how you change the owner and everything trickles down from him. And it's been the same thing here in Cleveland.
Yep.
They haven't had, funny. Did anyone ever think that a Browns owner could make Art Modell look good?
Or Al Lerner.
I mean, I'm not even going to say Lerner looked good because
he just wouldn't even. They was like, don't show the box. Don't show the press box.
I know.
Remember that?
I remember that.
Do not show us.
When Art Modell left, if you would have asked the average Browns fan, will you ever be to a point where you miss the days of Art Modell?
Yeah.
But, I'm not saying that, people have forgiven him and they love him, but you can say what you want about Art Modell. His teams won.
Yeah, they did.
His teams won.
Yeah.
Now, he committed the ultimate sin and took the team to Baltimore. But compared to what we have now and what we've had since, they've made Art Modell look like a pretty damn good owner.
What Art was fighting against was the economic change of the game. He was not going to have enough money to play the game the way that
well,
it is played now.
you know what he did? He did some bad deals.
Yeah, right.
He gave everything away. Concessions, parking.
And so what do
the
you
way you can make money in this game back then, he had bad deals with the city.
Right.
And I know the history will record this a different way.
Right.
But he wanted the city to treat him fairly, and he thought that they were never going to because they thought he would never leave.
As a young dude growing up, not understand, I'm from Canton. I didn't really get it. So as I started to get older and I started to look into the political nature of it, I started to come away feeling different. I'm like, did he get railroaded? Because he basically was like, hey, I'm gonna just be a good soldier and wait my turn.
Yeah, we'll see.
Right. The Cavs got a new arena.
Okay.
The Indians got the new stadium.
He did a lot for the
And he's
city.
just sitting there going, hey, where's mine? Because guess what we know on this show, but based how many people are watching when we talk Browns, Guardians, or Cavs.
You know what the
this
draw
is a Browns town.
You know what the draw
and
is.
he just wanted his third of the pie. And he was like, wait a minute. I see a pie in front of me. It's got one cut in it, and half of it says Cavs, and half of it says Indians. Where do I get to eat?
Part of it, he was so entrenched in this community. Cleveland hadn't seen one of the real cutthroat owners that come through here and be like, I ain't doing nothing. You doing everything, right? That's because that's how they play it now. You doing everything, right?
They thought he would never leave.
Yeah. So when you have that thought, Jay, you're like, he couldn't even when he tried to probably muscle a deal out, they were like, you ain't doing that.
Financially,
Art's cute.
You ain't doing
Go over there in your corner and keep winning.
So is this true financially? I heard, well, as I was looking different stuff on the internet, I heard that Art Modell had to take out a loan to pay Andre Rising.
That's a fact.
That's a fact. That's a fact.
Art Modell was not a wealthy man.
No, he was not.
Outside of his ownership of a team. It's very similar to what the Guardian situation is now. The Guardians are now in a situation where they're not even getting the $55 million owed to them by their television partners.
We got to talk about it.
That is a mind blow what's going on with them.
I'm wondering.
And they're still carrying the gains.
Yes, and just
How is that even happening?
Brad,
it's crazy.
Because, you know why? Because of our bankruptcy laws. But here's what that's akin to. You go to a restaurant every night, and it's a 5-star, and you eat your meal, and you pay your $500 bill when you're done every night.
Is that what happened at the 5-star?
And then, well, I'm talking, you got 4 people, bottle of wine,
the bottles of wine to get you. The bottle gets you.
It's a 5-note, okay?
Okay.
You do that every night for 20 years.
All right.
And then you file bankruptcy. I'm poor now. But you keep going to the 5-star restaurant. You keep eating the 5-star meal.
Top shelf.
And when it's done, you politely excuse yourself, put your napkin on the table, and walk out the door.
And then you dip.
And then you look back at the maitre d' and you go, bankruptcy. I'll see you tomorrow. That's what's going on right now with the Guardians and Valley Sports.
What a great analogy.
That's it.
What a great analogy.
They're eating and they're not paying.
Yeah, you eat, then you dip.
You dip and you're dining and dashing.
Hallelujah, holla
It's
back.
television sports, dine and dash.
All you hear is Gwen Stefani. They put that Gwen, holla, I ain't no holla back, girl. I ain't no
The 80s.
See you tomorrow.
The 80s Ohio State late night runs where people would go to the late night.
That's it.
I'm out.
So, and you know what?
I got a whole story. It involves the Pitt Panthers, West Virginia, and the car picking me up after a dime deal.
What is that called? The backyard brawl?
I'm
out of here.
No, so seriously, I mean, that's what it is. And by the way, they're telling the chef, too, on their way out, remember, tomorrow, medium rare plus.
Yeah.
And I want a twinge of olive oil in my steamed vegetables.
And by the way, do you guys have the truffles in yet?
I
heard they're seasonal.
Oh, my God.
I mean, it's nuts what's going on with the Guardians. But the reason we got to that point is because the Dolans don't have the kind of money where they can say, I got that $55 million. I got it covered.
So this $55 million, I'm sure, was going to be consumed in use of somewhere players.
Hell yeah.
So where are they running the team?
Who's filling the gap now?
The owners.
But if you don't have the money, how do you fill the gap?
Enter minority owner.
Oh, so you tapped them boys. Hey,
well, Mr. Blitzer, you're part of the team now as well. And you have to incur some of these expenses as well. And I imagine that whatever the split is in ownership, Paul has to pay 90% of that TV bill, and Blitzer has to pay 10%, if that's the ownership split. I can't remember now what the numbers are. But somebody's got to pick up the tab.
Jay, like this is, I'm just being frank. I mean, does he have $45 million in the bank?
I don't know that he has it, but I'm sure because his assets are the team, whatever value that has.
So you're going to put
he's
probably
probably
a loan against that?
I wouldn't doubt it if there will be loans taken. Now, I'm speaking completely out of turn. I don't know that or not.
What do you think the Guardians are worth?
Over $1 billion for sure.
I'll look that up, but that's a great question.
Yeah,
Brad.
I would say in the $2 billion range.
Okay.
The Guardians?
He bought it for what?
900
Oh,
something.
in the hundreds of millions,
It's
not $1
900
billion.
So
I'll dive real quick. It is 12:20, which means it's time real quick to remind everybody that the Lunch Hour of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show is sponsored by Colleague Racing. Colleague Racing, the official NASCAR sponsor of Northeast Ohio. While we're talking about evaluations, real quick, what do you guys think the Browns would be priced at right now?
$5 billion.
$5 billion.
$5 billion.
$4 million.
And matter of
You're saying
fact,
$4 billion? That's what the Broncos went for.
but I would argue he could get more because, like the Washington Commanders, it don't matter We gonna always show up. It don't matter. We gonna buy merch. We got Browns backers. And if I'm them, I'm saying, look, you name me one more loyal fan base. They gonna fill up whatever you got.
You get $5 billion, $5.5 billion if you got a new stadium. This stadium not here giving you no.
No, that's part of it. That's a very fair and valid point.
And at some point, Mikey, I want to get the Browns on here because I this community got to have a conversation here.
No, but listen,
you know where I'm going.
Washington's in the same spot. FedEx was built around the same time, and they want out. They don't want that stadium anymore. They want a new stadium just like Haslam does. So here's one of the things, when they set these values, it's all just, it's a guessing game.
Yeah.
But one of the things that I can imagine that's going on where they value these things, because you always see, who is the company that sets the valuations for the pro sports franchises that we always use? Forbes.
And real quick, the Guardians, $1.3 billion.
Okay.
Evaluation.
What were they bought for?
I'd say
they were bought for $323 million.
Okay. There you go.
Three?
There you go. That's
$1
billion. So Paul goes to the bank and says, "Listen, I'm in a bit of a spot. I got this diner that keeps coming and eating my food, but he's not paying for it, so I got to pick up his tab. I need a $55 million payroll loan."
It's an equity loan. That's what.
It's a payroll loan.
It's an equity loan. Equity in the,
now, I don't know that he's doing that. I don't.
Okay.
Maybe he's flush enough that he can just write that check. I don't know. I would be surprised if he is.
By trade, he's a lawyer,
I'm not going to guess
right?
a man's worth. Yeah, now, typically, you're not making that kind of money practicing law.
No.
Right. He put himself in a position to buy the team and own the team.
Right.
But how much of that is fluid for him and liquid, I don't know.
Right.
What I do know is, in an interview on opening day with Jimmy Donovan, Jimmy asked him, "Are you concerned? Does there come a point here where this becomes an issue?" And he was coy, as he always is. Didn't glean, he didn't give us much information. But here's my fear: at the trade deadline, if they're a player away, and that means taking on a significant number of dollars in payroll, I wouldn't think they're going to do that.
Can't do it.
And you know what? I wouldn't,
because they're already one of the lowest at $91 million.
And I wouldn't
that makes sense.
No,
I wouldn't knock them, Jay.
I
For
wouldn't
one time, I wouldn't be grudging.
they're in a really hard spot.
So
right now.
here's the deal and I've had, I was on a call with Paul Dolan maybe about 7 months ago. It wasn't bad. I mean, very nice guy. Right?
Super nice.
Very nice guy, right?
Very nice.
And was
professional,
open and clear,
courteous.
very much so. So I'm not going to begrudge anybody. Yeah. But here at some point here, I'm looking at this TV contract money that's missing. That gap, I run a city. That thing has to be filled with something, right?
Dude, in the ledger column, that
ain't peanuts.
A miscellaneous expense.
That's not peanuts.
$55 million.
I would literally have to think about getting out of it.
So at that point,
I had to cash my chips.
Well, he's got an escape clause if he wants it. Because Blitzer has the ability to buy the whole team.
And it's not even getting out. It's here. You're cashing out.
Yeah, I'm cashing out.
Because you're going to cash out to a win. Because the game now is played on all sports levels, not just baseball. You need a higher profile owner with more deep pockets because this is where it's trending. The salaries are trending. This is trending. The stadiums are trending.
I don't know what I'm doing with streaming. I don't know what the revenue.
No, our baseball landscape is different than all the other ones because they don't revenue share like the NFL does.
Art Modell could not be an owner in the NFL today. It's just not.
It's a lot of the old.
Here, you cannot.
What's the Pelicans owner? The Pelicans owner, like
the Guns. The Guns and the Cavaliers could not own today.
It's a different stratosphere that these guys are living in. And much of that's why I was so surprised that the Haslams bought into the Milwaukee Bucks.
They must have got some of
this. At Forbes, when they set the value, you know how when an inspector comes to your house and goes, "Oh, we got a gutter hanging up there. Going to deduct something for that. I hear a little noise in the heater. That's a deduction." With the Browns, they're going to look at the win-loss records. They're going to go, not a whole lot to talk about in the winning column, but I'm seeing a note here, fan base through parade when team went 0-16. Oh, I'm buying that.
Yeah. That's crazy.
We're always going to be there.
Yeah.
We're always going to be there. We're making the owners a lot of money with that.
So I do want to say this. I think this our group will be doing this community a disservice because I want to have a discussion about this stadium here, right? Because how you get into the next – it's not just a stadium. We want to have a winning team, right?
Yeah.
Well, I don't care. I don't care if we play in the parking lot if we win.
This is portal business. You always have to stay winning. So you're always in the recruitment game here, right? Your facilities. You been out to the facilities in Berea?
Oh.
They ain't nothing special.
No.
Well, they are upgrading the facilities.
So
there.
I'm saying you have that upgrade and you go to some of these other places. Go out to what the Cavs out in Independence.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? That's the difference.
No, I feel it.
Yep. So when I'm recruiting players to come here, right, everything's first class. You saw those surveys.
They were like, oh, those surveys didn't come out like great here.
I think that they had the city.
So if you're not paying, if you're not having a first-class facility,
you better have some kind of
you better have something going on.
The city owes it to itself that if you want to talk about, because I know they do got some money, because that gambling money is real right now. Now, you got sin taxes and all this other stuff. My thing is, if you going to do it and you want the taxpayers' money in a recession, I feel you gotta fiscally be responsible and say, we need this venue to attract more than the Cleveland Browns year round.
I'm not going to who pays for anything yet. The discussion point is, do you want this or should we be looking at something else? Because if we are at some point going to something else, if you don't do it now, 15 years from now, it's going to cost you X.
So that's why I was surprised that they're going to the
renovations.
The Haslams all of a sudden did it on about face.
Well, I think that.
And now they're like, you know what? We'll just renovate this one.
They don't want the smoke.
They don't want this. They don't want the bill.
No, forget the bill. They don't want the smoke of just saying somebody talking about it. I said it don't cost you anything to talk about it. I said they have never polled this community to be like, what is it that you prefer? Look, I'm 60 years old. What I'm not going to do, I'm not going to sit out there in the cold. I'm not going to do that. So after September, you kiss me goodbye. Right? I'm not going down there. You ain't get no parking money.
Unfortunately,
no hotel money.
and I know this because I was one of them, I'll sit through, and there were 40,000 fans that did the same thing, 0-degree weather to watch them play the Saints on Christmas Eve. I did it. I was there.
Zero degree weather.
Y'all nuts.
Look, 0-degree weather.
Coldest game I've ever been. It's the coldest I've ever been in my life.
You and Jason, y'all are nuts.
Coldest I've ever been.
Hey, 0-degree weather at my age get you sick.
Look,
I prefer 72 in climate control.
But Brad, you gonna have walking pneumonia.
What's wrong? What happened to Brad? He shriveled up somewhere.
Brad was such a good dude.
Hey, listen.
The Browns literally killed him. He always said they would.
I am not coming to the Cleveland Clinic seeing you out there with your legs hanging off the edge of the bed. They ain't got the coughing.
And Brad said this right here. And they lost.
Hey, talk to my daughters. Get them together.
No, we ain't doing that. We're not doing that.
Man. Anyhow, I would guess that the Browns would be worth $5 billion.
Yeah.
Because I know that there's not much to speak of lately, but same with the Redskins.
Yeah.
The Redskins sell tickets, so do the Browns.
Loyal fan bases.
And we will support this
Loyal
team
fan bases.
through 0-16. We threw a parade.
That's crazy.
Okay, Mike.
According to Forbes, they are evaluated at $3.85 billion for the record. It is 12:30, which means it is time to remind y'all that the lunch hour of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show is sponsored by Colleague Racing, the official NASCAR sponsor of Northeast Ohio. We are doing a Cavs post-game show, and there's also a special membership perk that I want to tell you guys about. For $1.99 a month, that gets you into the starters tier. That gets you those loyalty badges, custom emojis, member-only community posts. For $4.99 a month, you get overtime videos, that's daily extra content, all those same starter tier perks, member shout-outs, discount codes for merch. We posted the link. You can only get this if you're a member in the members-only community tab to get on the text chain with Jason Lloyd for Game 1 of the playoff game. He'll be sitting courtside at the game, giving you up-to-date, minute-by-minute updates about the Cavs.
Now, will they be able to ask
Game
him
1.
questions? Is this interactive?
It's interactive. Yes, it is. You
For
have to be a
$1.99.
coaches tier member to get it. You can only be a coaches tier. Go to the YouTube community tab to get that exclusive code. Jason Lloyd, the smartest basketball guy we know, will be texting
That's
back
great,
and forth.
man.
Let's talk a little Guardians real quick. They're starting a 3-game set with the Nationals today. After a tough matchup with the Yankees, Jay, what do you need to see from the Guardians to kind of right the ship here?
I need to see a home run.
That'd be nice.
We've got 1 home run in 6 home games, guys.
I think to the season they have 6 home runs in the entire season.
I always say it's early, don't get too crazy, but right now, all the alarm bells are sounding.
They're on.
The flags are waving.
Waving.
This is a 911 situation.
Hello.
Last year, what the Guardians did was they won spitting in the face of conventional wisdom, which is you got to hit power. You got to have power and hit home runs to win. Mm-hmm. They proved that in a bad division, with a team that plays terrific defense, can run the bases, and had above average starting pitching, that they can win that division.
Yeah.
Then they played a team that was built very similar to them, the Rays, who obviously this year are rewriting the record book when it comes to starting the season.
I have to stop you for 1 second about the Rays. I just saw this numbers.
It's
blow me.
What they're doing
absurd.
has never happened.
Okay, but here, you ready for this? The two teams that are dead last in baseball in home runs, the Guardians and the Nationals. So if you're expecting home runs, don't expect it. 6 for the Guardians, that is 29th in baseball. 5 for the Nationals, 30th in baseball. Jesus. How many home runs do you think the Rays have through 13 games this year?
I'd say 12.
G?
Because they're not a home run hitting team either.
That's what you think.
Well, they weren't last year.
15?
13 games. Brad, what do you think?
15?
9?
32.
What?
Anthony, tell me, ESPN, if ESPN's wrong, ESPN's wrong.
No, if it's got 32
home runs for the Guardians through 13 games.
For the Rays. For the Rays. See, I think they were at the bottom of the
Are they still
heap
playing
last year,
are they
too.
still playing in the Dome?
Yeah, they're playing Tropicana Field still.
Oh,
They've
yeah,
played
see?
they played on the road.
Hey, that is
well.
not wrong. You ready for this?
What?
Brandon Lowe has 5. Yandy Diaz has 4. Wander
Yandy
Franco,
Diaz
4.
is a home run hitter
Randy
now.
Arozarena, 3.
All of a sudden.
Isaac Paredes, 3. Luke Raley, 3. Harold Ramirez, 3. Jose Siri, 3. Josh Lowe, 3. Manuel Margot, 2. Christian Bethancourt, 2.
And he named
Taylor
more than
Wells,
9
1.
people.
Man, I got to tell you,
13 games.
I would not have guessed that in a million years. I don't know what they're doing. A lot of those are the same guys that were there last year, and they were not hitting home runs. When Yandy Diaz was here, this guy looks like Tarzan. This guy is a mammoth human being. I don't think he ever hit a home run when he was with Cleveland.
Man, these dudes.
Maybe one.
Sorry for cutting you off, but I just saw that.
No, that's a terrific
crazy.
point. But the reason I bring up the Rays is because they were built in the same vein as the Guardians. Last year, I think the two of them were 26th and 29th or something like that in home runs. What that proved was you can either win a wild card or win a bad division without hitting for power. Wow. But when you come up against a power-hitting team like the Yankees, what did the Yankees do to us? They hit 3-run homers, and we went home, and they moved on.
That's so demoralizing.
You can outplay a team for 8 innings, and one pitch later, boom.
One at bat.
You know what it feels like? It feels like you're detonating a bomb. You know the tension that your every move has got to be very thoughtful and careful. But you know if you hit that tripwire, it's a wrap. And that's what it feels like when you're playing the Yankees, knowing that you're not going to get one swing and have 3 runs. But what they're doing this year isn't just bad, it's all-time bad. Guys, Little League seasons are usually 16 games.
Yeah.
I had 7 home runs in one Little League season when I was 12. You probably had 25.
Yeah, they just stopped counting after a while.
Guys, you can't win if you're only hitting 5 home runs every 13 games.
And we talk about launch trajectories, Jay. Like, is this something that they're working on?
I don't know. I had a conversation with Josh Bell at spring training where, he had once hit 37 home runs. His numbers have been down the last few years. I had asked him what he was doing to try to get back to that 37 home run season. And he said, the buzzword obviously in baseball is launch angle. And when you watch these guys in the on-deck circle and they're taking their swings, they're all doing the same thing. They go. They want to be coming up and hit the baseball that way. It used to be hit down on the ball, create backspin, and watch it rise. Now everything is about launch angle. He got consumed with launch angle, and he told me this year, I'm going back to a level swing. I want to hit the ball hard. When I concentrate on hitting the ball square and hard line drives, I hit home runs.
Well, he's rolling.
He's hitting below 100.
Yeah.
His big moment of the season was a walk-off fielder's choice that went about 75 feet.
Facts. And
I'm really concerned
he's
right
not
now.
even stroking the ball hard. He's not.
No.
He is softly turning over ground balls to the right side.
And bad at bats. Good morning, good afternoon, good night strikeouts.
So
swinging at balls. I mean,
the first
I don't know how you get out of a slump like this, but this is the kind of thing that even if he hit, he's going to have to hit.
Look at those numbers.
He's going to have to hit 500 for the next 13 games to be at 300. When you dig a hole like this, it's like your grade point average.
Oh,
it's really hard to move it the right way.
You start off with a D,
you're done.
And a low D is 60%.
Yeah, you're done.
And what did Pittsburgh know?
I don't know. Well, no, listen. He was with San Diego.
No, Washington before San Diego.
Washington first,
I don't know why I said
San Diego.
Because the Pirates and the Padres got uniforms that's similar.
I'm very concerned because I'm going to make a statement that's going to make everybody quiver in their boots.
Duke and Jerk J.
Right now. So the big talk in the offseason, this is their rich player.
Yes.
He's making $13 million a year. He's hitting the weight of a fifth grader. He's hitting 90. Now, the reason he was the pivotal piece was because he was the protection for Jose Ramirez. Has Jose homered this year?
No, I don't think so.
Jose is not homered this year.
Okay,
no.
So it doesn't take teams long to figure out.
You ain't getting no pitches.
I'm not pitching to Jose because the guy behind him hasn't done anything. Right now, if the Indians had Austin Hedges hitting behind Jose Ramirez, he would be providing twice the average.
You know what's scary?
He didn't hit 200 last year.
You know what's scary for me, Jay, is we've seen the Guardians not have bats. We've seen Guardians players, not be able to not runners in or scoring position. We've seen guys, swing and miss and whiff when you got an opportunity to move runners or have sacrifice flies. But what we have not seen is we've always assumed the Guardians' starting rotation and bullpen were A+, grade A. Now you got two guys on the DL.
I know.
You got a couple of dudes that you kind of shaky on that's relievers. Class A, Class A don't even look like he got the same stuff as he had last year. He could come in and he was 1, 2, 3. So you can't have two things at once. You got to have elite pitching. And you can survive and try to move runners along, but you can't have both. You can't struggle.
No, you can't have. Now, in fairness to Class A, he took the loss in the last game of the series to the Yankees. It was 3-3. He came in the ninth. The defense was poor. I said about Josh Bell, who should have scooped that ball at first, that ended up being the game-winning run. If you can't hit, you better be able to catch. You better bring something to the party.
Who was that? Who's the dude? I was watching the old Indians. Who used to play first base and his last name is Perry? I'm trying to think. Who was that?
Was it Herbert Perry?
Herbert Perry.
Herbert Perry.
Herbert Perry, he couldn't listen. They would be like, listen, we're going to put Herbert Perry in for Sereno, Paulie. Paulie, we're going to have to put him in. I said, Herbert Perry.
Well, Bell's usually a good first baseman, but the throw from Rosario was bad, but you've got to dig that out. It's a ball that he just whiffed on. He pulled the glove up too quick. That guy gets on base and then ends up scoring the game-winning run. So, Clase did his job.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to blame him. Right?
It is, but I'll tell you this. The kids that they have in the system, Bybee, I don't think he's given up a run this year in the minor leagues.
No.
There's Williams is pitching. He's pitching his tail off right now. So they've got three guys in the pipeline that in particular, I'm worried about Cal and I'm worried about Plesac. Mm-hmm. Neither one of us look good. And I don't know how much leash they're going to have, particularly when the bats aren't hitting. I don't know if it's going to be long before Tito calls these kids up to see what they've got at this level. Because Bybee and Williams have been lights out in the minor leagues. And, they brought up Gaddis has pitched twice, mixed results.
Yeah, it looked good the first time. Second time got destroyed.
Yeah, but Quantrill hasn't looked good at all, and neither has Plesac. And when you've got these guys throwing the way they're throwing in the minor leagues, at some point we got to see what they're all about here.
And they got velocity. See, for me, you can be I can't deal with the Tom Candiottis of the world. I can't do it. Like if you're gonna be a dude, the time of when you got Abbott or Smoltz and Glavine and Jim Abbott, those guys are cool. But I need guys that can that could put some heat on his ball.
Well, that's the game now. Yeah, if you're not throwing low to mid-90s, you better have 3 A-plus pitches.
That Strasburg curveball, you got to have something like that because you're not going to be up there. Because think about it. If you miss, that's a 3-run homer. Yeah. Like, you missed your changeup. Oh, there we go. You down 3 runs.
Now, all of this talk, they're 7-6.
Yeah. Not bad for the rest of the American League.
They could easily be 8-5, maybe even 9-4.
They've got some concerning issues.
But they do have issues, and the biggest one is there's just no power to this offense. Now, we know that in baseball, power tends to come and go. Unfortunately, everyone is in a power slump right now, and hopefully when everybody starts hitting them, when one player starts hitting them, they're all going to start hitting them, and this won't be the problem that it was last year and has been so far this year. But the Rays right now are running away from baseball, and they're built very similarly to the Guardians. How they're hitting all these home runs, I don't know. Yandy Diaz with 4 home runs?
Absurd.
Can you read me Yandy Diaz's home run totals by year?
Give me 1 second.
Okay. Because Yandy, even though he looks, when you see him, you're like, oh, God, that's a 30-year home run a year guy.
Hey, let me tell you something.
He hasn't been that guy.
The last time I seen dudes just hitting home runs like that, there's a team called the Houston Astros. I ain't gonna say.
No, I know.
What you saying?
What you saying? Everyone's hitting like that, but with pitch count, that's out of the mix.
What are you saying?
No, it's out of the mix now, guys.
You can't do it.
No, unless a pitcher is tipping what his pitch.
I don't know what it is, but he named it's 9 guys in the lineup.
I know.
He named 12 dudes.
What's Yandy Diaz's home run totals by year?
I got you. First, though, I want to remind everybody the Lunch Hour of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show is sponsored by Caller Racing, the official NASCAR team of Northeast Ohio. Yandy Diaz is listed on BaseballReference.com as 6'3", 220 pounds.
He's massive.
In 2017 with Cleveland, he had no home runs in 49 games. In 2018, in 39 games, he had 1 home run. Then he goes to Tampa Bay. In 79 games, he had 19 home runs. The following year, he had 2. In 2021, he had 13. Last season, 137 games, he had 9. This year, in 11 games, he has 4.
He's not a home run hitter, and he's cranking the ball this year. I don't know. They're all playing. You know how it is in pro sports, Brad. When one guy gets hot on a team and then another guy catches fire, the last thing you want to do is be the weak link. And everybody sort of elevates their game, and that's what's going on in Tampa. They're not going to go 162-0, folks. But the way they're destroying their opponents.
I'm gonna take your own words. You asked the question, and Jay answered it. A couple weeks ago, he said, Jay, you break this thing down into thirds. What is the goal in the first third? And you said, hey, they need to tread water. Now at the time,
because of their pitching.
Yes, at the time. They came off 2 series wins. They won the Oakland series, won the Mariners series. Now you're starting to see the effects of that a little bit.
Right.
Because now the pitching, we was worried about that. But now it's just like you got a car. The transmission go out, you might as well go ahead and chalk it up, because if the transmission go, you might have to replace something on the starter. You got to replace everything else, go past that. So the situation that I'll be looking at is, I think in the first half of the year, or first third of the year, they gotta just tread water. They gotta stay close, and they could not let the Twins run away from them. Because think about it, that wild card game is getting funny. Because if the Rays is gonna win that division, then you left with the Yankees, you left with the Red Sox. They could be vying for something. And if you don't win your division because of the Twins, I don't foresee you making the playoffs.
It's a rough climb. Ask the Rays last year.
Yeah.
The Rays found that out, and hopefully it won't come to that this year for the Guardians, but the pitching has got to get significantly better.
And speaking of pitching, we got 5 minutes left in the Guardians before we have to do a USFL segment. But, Jay, we talked in the gym the other day about the new pitch clock. Savali's on the IL. Yes. McKenzie's on the IL. Across the league, pitching injuries are slightly up from last year. We had Bull on earlier this week. Bull said he doesn't believe there's enough evidence to actually tie the two together. You disagree.
Yeah, so here's what I'll say to that. And I'm glad Brad's here, because Brad, you can speak to this. Whenever you have a rhythm to something in sports, I don't care if it's baseball, football, golf, ask the guys that played in the lead group at the Masters about rhythm.
Right.
We saw the leader after the 3rd round completely melt down on Sunday, and I was watching it, and I was saying, oh, this is going to affect him in all kinds of bad ways, because Patrick Cantlay, I think his name is, was playing in the group ahead of him. He's the notoriously slow golfer.
Right.
They played a 5-hour round of golf. That's how long I expect to play on a Muni course on a crowded weekend. And it was absolutely killing the leaders, particularly the leader after 3 rounds. He melted on Sunday because he doesn't like to stand around and wait. There's a rhythm to sports, whether that's shooting a free throw. If you told the NBA next year, from now on, you have 1 second to shoot the free throw, what do you think would happen to the free throw percentage?
Awful.
It's going to go way down.
Awful.
Guys have a rhythm. Now, I know in the NBA it's a little different. 3 dribbles, backward spin, another dribble.
Whatever it takes.
Eye it, shoot it. Everybody has their own rhythm. If I tell you that you do something 100 times, but it takes you in total 40 minutes to do it, but now I tell you you have 30 minutes to do it, you're going to speed up your rhythm. There's going to be fatigue that sets in. And what happens, Brad, when athletes get fatigued
They get hurt.
but still try to perform at the same level?
They get hurt. I asked that question a couple weeks ago. I said, okay, the pitch clock is great for the fans, right? But you're now asking a guy to speed up his thing. So now the rest in between his pitches, that's gone. You're doing repetition on these same muscles and same throwing that. You're going to wear something out quicker.
Right.
And that's what's going to
Well,
occur.
the analogy I gave Mikey, because we were in the gym, we all have our pace when we're in the gym. And if you're doing 15 reps of a weight, but you take your time and you do it over 45 seconds, and there's a slow rhythm to it because you want to get maximum effort out of each one. But now I tell you, no, now you got to do it in 30. What's going to happen?
You're fatigued.
Well, you're going to start working harder, and about 8, you're going to be like, oh my God, I'm tired. And what happens when you get tired? Now all of a sudden you're a little,
Now you're straining.
you're off a little bit. Injuries. I don't think it's going to be a significant problem. I don't. But I do think that, and it's a small sample size, and it could be an anomaly. It's not anything that you would look at and say, whoa, injuries are up 75%. It's not like that. Injuries are up. They're going in the wrong direction. I've talked to trainers, and I've talked to pitchers. And if you think this isn't an issue, you're kidding yourself. Here's what everybody says. We got to get used to it because that's the new normal.
Yep.
And if that means that starting pitchers now only go 6 innings instead of 7, or 5 innings instead of 6, teams will have to construct differently.
You have to
They'll
figure
have to have more bullpen arms.
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
But if you think that this is an absolute non-factor, you're wrong.
You're kidding yourself.
You're kidding yourself.
I would just tell you, you're right. So if you speed up the reps, something's going to give. The question is how you deal with how it gives. But to sit here and ignore that it's not factual, it's not happening. Well, people will be like, that's not going to occur. Yes, it is going to occur.
Yeah.
It
Now,
really much is going to occur.
At the end of the year, it may well be that the injuries for pitchers is exactly the same.
Well,
and to get to that point, what they're going to do is have to build up to that and get used to it.
You get to
right now, it's new.
Till you get to a rhythm where you understand this is what, because you have to train like that.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah. Yep.
Right now, these guys aren't training like that. They're doing it on the fly in front of you.
And when you ratchet that up the intensity, and plus, when you're not used to doing something, I've seen pitchers for the first time look awkward, stepping off the rubber, throwing places.
They don't know what to do yet.
I'm like, I'm seeing people launch the ball in the outfield. I'm like, what's wrong with your footwork? That clock is in their head. They're like, okay, can I throw over here? How many times can I do it?
Right.
Oh, I forgot. I should be looking at the batter.
Here's something that I wanted to pose to you because I knew Brad would be able to speak to rhythm as a pro athlete. When you played in college, what was the play clock? 35?
35 seconds.
Okay, what if I told you now there's 25 seconds?
So here's what happened. Remember, this is funny. When hurry-up offenses first started,
Yep.
defenses, we had no answer.
You guys weren't conditioned for that.
The coaches would tell you, listen, if we're getting touched, they would give us a sign from the sideline.
Fall down.
And they would say,
Fake an injury.
fall down.
Yep.
You got a cramp. And so offenses were killing people with this fast tempo. They would get up. They had the cards, and you can't breathe. Like, there was no huddle.
I can't breathe.
I can't breathe.
Guys couldn't.
I was like, so you used to people lining up in a huddle and you in a huddle. They hold hands. The quarterback gets on one knee, unstraps his buckle. He don't even got his helmet strapped on. He's like XZ35.
That's like a smoke break.
Yeah, like
compared to playing Oregon back in the day.
You got the big uglies walking up here, getting in their stance like this. They still got to make calls. Guess what? That's 35 seconds.
Well,
then they started being like, no, we're just going to call 2 plays.
We're going to be in the hurry up for the whole game. So what did that do to you from physical performance standpoint, injury standpoint? Did it increase the chance of being hurt because you were exhausted?
Well, it changed the game because now it's normal for people to say this, but before, when you had Bruce Smith, when you had Reggie White, they weren't rotating nobody. They played
they stayed every play.
Now you need 8 guys to play, right? Yeah. And now when they running and they blocking you, you trying to catch your air. And now you getting cut. It ain't the fact that you getting blown off the ball. It's the fact that you got missed assignments now. You were supposed to be in A gap, but you in B gap.
So your performance suffers.
Yes.
And that's what I'm saying with pitching. I think what's going to happen is you're speeding it up enough where guys aren't comfortable, particularly in the 5th, 6th, 7th inning. Exhaustion kicks in. People don't think that it's exhausting to pitch a game. Physically, it is exhausting. And as much gym work as I'm doing, when I make my first start in a couple of weeks, I'll guarantee you on Monday I'm going to be absolutely ravaged. And by the 5th or 6th inning, I'm going to start to feel fatigue.
Adam the Bull came in here yesterday and he said, listen, I know y'all see my text message. I need some help. He said, I need a bullpen arm. I'm throwing to these kids. I'm throwing 300 pitches.
Getting whipped out.
My lower back hurt. I ain't never felt this before. I said, boy, I can't mess with you, bro.
Yeah, it's a thing.
USFL,
I think the strength and conditioning guys will figure out a way to better condition their pitchers to get used to this, and I think the game will catch up. Just like defenses used to start running a lot more gassers the week before you played Oregon, you better be in shape.
Yeah.
So you do things to adjust.
Yeah, no question.
And hopefully it's not going to be a big issue, but it has led to an increase of injuries so far.
Got a couple things we got to take care of real quick. Your colleague racing report. I wish Earl was here for this because I don't believe this is a real race, but I double-checked, I triple-checked. The Xfinity Series is in Martinsville this weekend for the call811.com before you dig.com 500, which once again does not sound real to me. I double-checked on 2 different websites. It says that is
that is the official name of the race.
The Xfinity race is the call811.com before you dig.com 200 or 250, excuse me. In the Cup Series, they are also at Martinsville for the NOCO 400. That sounds more realistic, but really what's going to happen is Call is going to sweep. That is coming up. Also on Sunday this weekend, a couple of us will be in Independence for the Great Lakes Collectors Convention Card Show. Check it out. 50,000 square feet of ball card bliss, hundreds of display tables, card shop live theater with interactive appearances from some of the region's most notable sports media members. Jay, you're going Saturday, I believe?
I think it's Saturday, yeah.
Jason's going to join us on Sunday. I'll be there with G. Bush, Bull, and Jonathan Peterlin from the radio station. Great cards, great location, great show. Tickets are on sale at greeniesportscards.com.
I'm going to take my Jordan rookie card just to see if anybody wants to.
You better put that on a chain. Make sure it doesn't get snapped.
No, listen, it's attached to my body.
He got
I asked
Brad.
Yeah, he got the.
I asked Brad,
got a mint.
can you get your man to sign it?
He got a mint. He got
That
a
ain't
mint
happening.
condition. Mint condition.
Michael Jordan, like, bro, listen, Brad is not on the block list.
He signed 23 of them, and that's all he's going to sign.
Yeah.
So he's not signing my rookie card.
I love you guys, but the USFL paid for 10 minutes today, and you guys went long, so we're going to give them the best 6 minutes that they ever had in pretending it's 10 minutes. So usually the USFL
pick up our pace.
Will be sending us guests on a weekly basis. However, there's a little miscommunication.
Can you put Josh Gordon down on the wish list?
He's on the XFL, different league.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
But,
damn it.
And we have requested Josh Gordon many, many times. The USFL, though, is coming to Canton on Sunday, April 23rd. The season is back. It will be past the 23rd, but that is the first game. Come celebrate pro football with free T-shirts and rally towels for the entire family. Great seats start at $10. Buy your tickets today at USFL.com. We will start getting guests hopefully as soon as Monday.
Good.
Coaches and players from the league today.
We had Skip Holtz on last year. Was really good.
We had
I like
Daryl
Jeff Fisher.
Johnston was great.
Jeff Fisher was awesome.
Jeff Fisher was awesome. So hopefully we get those guys back today, though.
All right.
They are sponsoring a segment we're calling King of the Land. We played the stinger. You guys talked through it about Jordan's rookie card, so thanks for ruining the stinger on that. But the point of the segment is to fix sports, and we've done this kind of before.
Okay.
And it's ironic that how I wanted to fix something today, there's a little breaking news that goes along with it. The Dallas Mavericks in the last 10 minutes were just fined $750,000 for what they did tanking late in the season, sitting out all their starters against Chicago, except for Luka Doncic, who would have sat if it wasn't I Love Slovenia night, and they had 2,000 fans from Slovenia.
And he's going for he's going for some awards too.
It actually hurt his numbers though.
Oh,
it
did.
Played 12 minutes.
Well, he didn't know that before he played though.
Yeah, but it was I Love Slovenia night, so he played. So here's my idea to fix tanking in the NBA.
Look, I'm reading
what you have to do is take
It's crazy.
It is. It's an issue.
Yeah, it is.
What you have to do, and they've done some things to kind of quash it. There's not one team that has predominant odds, but here's how I think they really should fix it. The 8 teams, the 8 bottom teams in the league, when the playoffs start, they go in their own lottery tournament.
Yeah.
And the last 8 teams play each other, and the team that wins the tournament gets the first pick.
Yeah, but there's going to be tanking in that too. Well, why would you want to win that?
Because if you win, you get the first pick. It's not the last.
Oh, you're going reverse order.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the last 8 teams go in this tournament. And you have to win the tournament to get the first pick, which incentivizes star players to play. So like this year for the Portland Trail Blazers, they shut Dame Lillard down for the last 10 games of the season.
Yeah, that'll never happen.
Well, I'm king of the land. I can do whatever the hell I damn want.
Yeah, that's true.
So in my world,
in your fantasy land, that can happen.
That would be crazy.
Once again, it's not going to happen. They're also not going to put lakes in the middle of center field, which was another rule I'd love to change last year. Add a body of water to every major league ballpark. You have to set your lineup. You want a big lake, your center fielder better be able to swim and dive. If you have a bad center fielder who can't swim, you got a tiny little well. But
when do alligators go into the lake?
Sure. It's about your body of water, your choice.
You got a drawbridge to the moat, bro?
Your field, your choice. So here's what I'm saying with this tanking rule. And I'll use Dame Lillard as the example here. Dame, they sat him out the last 9 games. That's fine. You can still do that. You're in this tournament.
Yeah.
Then you got to get Dame to rev back up and play again, because if the Trailblazers want the first overall pick, a chance to draft Wembanyama,
they've got to win the Losers Bowl.
They have to win this 8-team tournament.
I would watch
to get that.
You would, because it's going to be bad basketball.
It would be bad basketball.
Just because of what's at stake.
So if you think about it, it's almost rewarding you from saying, look, we might not be as good as these other teams,
but we're going to play hard.
But we want to be good. And if we want to be good, we could get this kid and we can.
Now, the reason that the draft is set up the way it is it's to make sure that the talent cycle is constantly in flux. So the genuinely worst team in the league should have the first pick. That's how terrible teams get great.
Right.
Look what it did for the Cavs with LeBron James. So if that team is genuinely the worst team, then they're going to have the 8th pick every year. Because they're going to get housed in that tournament.
How many teams don't make the playoffs?
Well, 8 in each conference
12.
make it.
No, 14.
Well, 14 don't make it because of lottery, yeah. Now with the play-in, technically 10 don't make it, technically. But
yeah, but no, not technically, because the playoffs are what the playoffs are.
We got 1 minute left.
So, I like it. Here's the thing. Could the rest of the teams compete? Like, how good would, if you got the number 1 pick, how good would the Trailblazers be? Would they be?
Because you're going to reward the number 1 pick to a team that's not really that far away from being a playoff team already.
Think of it like this, though. The worst teams, like the Rockets this year, the Pistons, the Spurs.
They're not winning that tournament.
But they intentionally cut guys, trade guys away to be bad for a chance. This is an incentive to keep your better players within the organization.
I see what you're saying.
Develop guys so that you have a chance
to get it. But
there
there are unintended consequences that are negative with what you're
saying. Say for instance, Steph Curry gets injured for the year.
Well,
so the Golden State
15
Warriors,
seconds, hurry up.
Golden State Warriors get the number 1 pick. They get Wembanyama, whatever his name is, and now the Golden State Warriors is the best of the year.
Here, we're about to end, but you don't have to do all that. Just take the protected picks out the thing. If trade you for a pick at 20.